Hello everybody and welcome to tonight's coverage of the Full-Length Cup Challenge. This evening we're excited to bring you action from iRacing's virtual Martinsville Speedway at Martinsville, Virginia. Maconi Entertainment is here to bring you action for all types of racing, including the Goldwalker Racing Series, FLCC, and Fast Fridays. No matter what you're racing, we can bring the action to life. My name is Justin Prince, alongside me is Ron Mons, with Howie Burrows producing for this evening's coverage, as we get set to go racing for 400 laps from the paperclip here, Ron. Tonight it's going to be an exciting one, 40 cars in the field.
Yeah, massive pack of race cars and 400 laps in front of these drivers. We're about to get this race underway in a couple of moments. Really looking forward to this. This is going to be a long one. It's going to be a tough one, but it's going to be super entertaining as well.
Cameron Stone starting on the pole for this race. Robert Miller, Lucas Hoisman, Jonathan Delaney amongst the top four. Of note, Ralph Hutchinson, Clayton Hoffman also up front. Last week's race winner starting in the heart of the Hornet's Nest once again, after we seen the success last time from Nicholas Verman. He'll start 23rd. Green flag is out. We're underway from the paperclip. Already some tire spin. And a good start for Cam Stone, looking to see if he can break a multi-year winless drought. He talked about it last time out at Homestead, Miami. Now is leading the first time around here at the paperclip, but Hoitzma nearly turns him. Hoitzma makes contact. Lucas Hoitzma to the lead.
And that was a little bit aggressive on lap 2 of a 400-lap race. I'm sure that Cam Stone in that number 57 car, he's going to remember that come time for the end of this race. That was not the smartest call to do that so early on.
Keep in mind, tonight's stages, laps 80 and 180 for the end of Stage 1 and Stage 2, respectively. Meaning these drivers have a quick Stage 1, a little bit of a longer Stage 2, a marathon in Stage 3 to get the 400 laps distance tonight. 9 tire sets available in the pit lane here tonight, expecting potential pit stops to be a factor in the third stage if it comes down to it. Among some of the notable situations in the early going, Derek Heitman missed the start, is starting back in 40th. It's right now already arranged to be the first lap car in the field. He's right now 16 seconds back of the race leader. He originally qualified up in the top 10, but did not get rolling. Meanwhile, up front, the main thing to keep in mind, rolling the bottom is obviously the place to drive on tonight.
Yeah, especially in these next gens, that bottom line and that red and white painted curb on the inside, that is going to be these drivers' comfort zones all throughout tonight's race without a question or shadow of a doubt. Even through the track evolution that's going to take place all throughout this 400-lap long race, that's still going to be the comfort zone for these drivers. That's another good point to raise, talking about the track evolution. Starting this race off in the conditions that we have right now, come time for the end of this, though, it's going to be a 9-day difference, or a day and night difference, shall we say.
Former NASCAR driver Jonathan Delaney, right now, one-time race winner on the season, trying to battle with Cam Stone at the moment. You also see some of the other battles like Adam Benefield up 2 spots. Benefield right now up 2 from starting inside the top 10. A good start for the Conti machines. You see the temperatures in the lower corner.
Yeah, you can see 106 degrees, actually no, 108 degrees Fahrenheit. You can tell my eyes failing me at the worst possible time, but still rather decent track temperatures, must be said. 108 degrees is just about as hot as you can get before these tires start to feel the burn, and looking through, it's ticking up even more as this race continues to develop.
One of the main things to think about here is it's going to be hard to pass tonight. This is a track where some of the dirty air and also with the nature of the racing, going to be difficult to be side by side for a position. You might need to get physical. I'm not saying getting physical like the NASCAR Xfinity Series may have just done in real life, but you might have to use the bumper to move forward.
I will say, and this is honest, JP, I did not watch the Xfinity race earlier on, so I'm petrified when I open up Twitter after this broadcast as to what sort of demons took place there in real life here tonight. But you bring up a very good point. These drivers, they're going to have to break the elbows. Oh, boy. They're going to break the elbows out, I'm sure, come time for the end of this race. And even all throughout it as well. These drivers want to make up the moves. They don't want to get stuck behind a competitor that they feel like is a rolling roadblock. So I feel like my elbows are going to be hurting by the end of this with the amount of haymakers and elbow jabs that these drivers are going to be throwing each other's ways.
This traffic's about to get very heavy, by the way, for the race leaders, because if you go back to where Heitman is, he's reeled in the cars. That's the good news. Downside, they are already within a lap or 10 being lapped within a second is the better phrasing for this pack. And they are all grouped together here from 33rd all the way back to 40th within about 2 seconds of each other on the racetrack.
They're packed in like a bunch of sardines. Actually, no, it being Martinsville, they're packed in like a bunch of hot dogs still in the casing. That may be the best way that I could go about saying that. Still massively close all throughout this field. So that lap traffic dilemma, it's going to be, I wouldn't even say a thorn in the side for these drivers. It's going to be a frontal lobe migraine for some of these race leaders all throughout this race, having to muscle past the lap traffic and try not to get held up too badly. We can see these gaps either balloon because of lap traffic or just disappear in the blink of an eye. We're going to see both ends of that same coin here tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on how well and how mannered the leaders handle the traffic. Traffic is now officially being reached. Daniel Llewellyn just got lapped by the leader. Lucas Hutzma is starting to pull away a little bit. Last time by, he was one of just 2 cars in the 19-second bracket. But again, that's before traffic playing a factor. And you have to keep in mind, traffic here, have to be very mindful and cordial. You definitely don't want to get involved in contact with the leader here, as the next grouping of cars, Tanner Marty and Gregory Robinson, now they get a little bit scrappy, and that boxes in Huitzma for a moment.
Yeah, that's not going to do the number 97 car any favors at all. That will cause that gap to decrease a little bit as a moment coming out of turn 2.
Back under yellow. First yellow, I should say, as it looks like it might have been on debut Stoney Benfield. This is his first race of the season in the Outlier Speedco powered machine, and he apparently locked it down as one of the lap cars out of turn 2 and stopped the car, and he's under yellow, puts us under yellow for the first time.
Yeah, we could just see that smoke show as we're passing those racers, and I think we're going to take a look at this this moment, or just, yeah, there you can see, oh, that was a matter of inches between himself and hitting those barrels at the end of the safer barrier heading down the back straightaway. That could have ended an absolute disaster. There's no question or shadow of a doubt about that.
Lucky dog is Robinson, so a lucky break for the 3 machine. This might open up the door for a bump and run situation for Stone after the uprooting Huitzma gave. Keep in mind, in the point standings, Huitzma is the top-ranked driver this season who hasn't won a race so far, plus 147 points to the driver standings playoff cut line so far this season. Matt DiCiani right behind him with Ralph Hutchinson and Paul Hill, along with Derek Heitman amongst the top 10 coming in for the cut line. Devin Medeiros with his good finish at Homestead got a plus 12 over Dustin Hall in the one machine. You have Sean O'Brien and Johan Seminario, who's missed a few races now, falling down the order. Tanner Marty, 19 back already amongst the drivers, pinned a lap down. That's the tough thing about tonight with the stages too. Once you get lapped, you might not get the lap back.
Yeah, and it's real tough in the early stages of a race here at Martinsville to find yourself one lap down and not being the beneficiary of the lucky dog when it comes time for that first yellow in that race. It'll trap you a lap down, and then from that point on, it feels like your race will kind of snowball out of your control in a way. May end up seeing that afflict some of the drivers all throughout tonight. They get locked one lap down, and then from then on, it just snowballs out of control. You're one lap down, then you're 2 laps down, then you're finding yourself involved in a couple of incidents. Your race will just feel like it drags on forever if you find yourself having a really bad start.
So it's Hoytsma, it's Miller, Stone, Delaney, Hutchison. Top 5, we have a delayed green. We had a car stop on the racetrack somewhere, so we will have to regroup here. It looks like we have some stacking up at the back of the field here.
And actually, as we are under this delayed yellow, a couple more laps until we get this race back underway. I want to touch briefly on that Stony Benfield incident that brought this yellow out. When that 70 car spun, he hit one of the cones on pit exit, which is neither here nor there. But the raise up with the sand barrels as the attenuator there. I was looking through. It was a matter of inches. He was very lucky that he didn't strike those barrels. They're unforgiving enough in real life. In the sim, it's like striking a neutron star.
Yeah, that will absolutely destroy the race car as Hoytsma looks to try and run away as the control car here. Green, green, green. Robert Miller spins the tires. Ooh. Already Hutchinson looking to take third from that. And will, as Paul Hill gets alongside for fourth. Miller able to stabilize things. Tire spin coming in big here so far.
Yeah, and these drivers maybe put a little bit of wear onto those tires in the early stages of this race. The track temperatures continuing to heat up still as this race continues to develop with some 3-wide action hang off through 1 and 2. I'm not sure how these racers are making it work, but they somehow are.
Hudson Munstow's back there. Hudson with a different look tonight in the 12 machine. Also moving on the bottom there, the 62 Neil Pearson driving behind the wheel of that car tonight. Patrick Gitter up 5, trying to make a pass from the high side.
As we continue to see this, I think there may have been a little bit of drama up in front. I could see a massive plume of smoke as this field headed off into 3 and 4. Either someone had a lockup or someone got treated to a classic treatment of the chrome horn heading down into 3 and 4. Doesn't look like that affected anybody. Still under green flag as the field continues to pace around this track. Yeah, it looks like turn 3 and 4 just covered in some haze for some unexplainable reason.
Daniel Llewellyn can confirm that was the issue in one of the low drag esports machines. Just now is getting up to speed after struggling to get up to pace as you see the leaders try and get a sense of rhythm here. Side by side of the heart of the pack, Hunter Truel tonight in the Maconi Entertainment colors this evening alongside Jeremy Miller. Miller tonight in a Toyota.
Yeah, the Maconi Entertainment car here in this race to bring the action to life as he's still side by side coming at turn number 1 and 2. It's a drag race down that back straightaway. Is he going to try and dip behind? Yes, he will. Clearly, it's real tough to try and get the moves done in these next-gen cars. I mean, even with the Gen 6, yeah, kind of had to use some muscles and some elbow grease to get the moves done in these next-gen cars. So doubly so considering they're a bit more tough with those composite bodies. A lot of these drivers take some liberties, shall we say, in terms of breaking the muscles out and pushing past each other.
Take a look at Heitman as he continues his ascension back through the field. Right now, back to 31st. He's right now trying to attack Carl Johnson at the moment. And that's the tough thing. It is going to be difficult to get track position here tonight. Hence why drivers like Benefield are getting so defensive to hold on to said track position, with Christopher Pfeffer providing lots of footsteps right now for position.
Yeah, as these drivers continue to whittle away the laps, someone going real deep, heading down into turn number 3 and 4, losing out on a boatload of time a couple of moments ago. Just want to raise 1 point here, talking about the evolution of this racetrack. Track temperature is now above 110, just barely at 111 degrees, but those incremental differences in temperature can make a huge difference for how these cars are handling.
This racetrack can get extremely greasy, especially with the amount of rubber buildup in the corners with the concrete portions of the racetrack here, the paperclip. They play big factors in terms of the tire wear here tonight. So far, fall off is up to 0.6 of a second for the front runners. Already 35 laps complete in this one. For those tuning in, the Cup Challenge so far has had the one caution flag here at the paperclip. Temperatures staying hot across the circuit in hard time. A lot of people to make some passes here. So, as things have gone on here, you have to wonder, in terms of the Conti side, what they can do to pick up speed. They are doing well tonight in this battle with Paul Hill right now. But the big thing when it comes to Team Conti, minus 367 to RH Motorsports this season, the team standing so far as a group.
Yeah, and you're going to have to make a big swing at that if you want to get back into that discussion to try and win that team championship. That's going to be a big gap to try and surmount, but with some falling anvils coming down the other team and them kind of bumping up their pace a little bit, that's not an insurmountable gap by any means. Let's see how it's going to shake out for them, and let's see what sort of swings they try and make here at Martinsville.
On board the race leader, Lucas Hoitzma, continuing to control the pace. He's led all but 1 lap so far here tonight. And right now leads by 1.2 seconds. He is running up to 0.2 quicker. Some of the drivers behind him at the moment. He's had very little issues on his line. Good arc, good pace, no issues to the shift as Cameron Stone starting to pull away from Ralph Hutchinson a bit as well.
And we're getting to the stage of this green flag run where these drivers are really starting to settle into a groove. They're getting comfortable with their race cars. They're getting comfortable with each other as well. The field's starting to spread out a little bit, so some of these drivers may be feeling a bit more comfortable than they have been. They're not worrying about getting the bumper heading off into some of these turns. They're just finally being able to settle into some sort of groove. The mental side of things, so important in these full-length Cup races. You want to stay in the zone, stay in that groove all throughout these races that can get very long, and certainly here at Martinsville with the amount of yellows that we may be getting in this race. Of course, 3 guaranteed after that early yellow, and the 2 stage yellows that we will have throughout the rest of this evening's racing action. Super important just to stay in the groove and make sure that you find yourself not losing sight of that grandfather clock at the end of this race.
It's just a virtual one, to say the very least, here tonight. It's always good to be able to pick up a win, especially when it comes to a battleground, when it comes to this track. Still, though, so the other things to keep in mind in terms of some of those who are making some progress in the pack. We mentioned in last week's race winner Nicholas Vroman. He's currently in the heart of the Hornets' nest, 18th position as well. Oh, caution! Another caution flag. And hearing, it's this. Right here, the 2. It's the 2 machine, Jacob Simpson.
And let's take a look at this to see what happened to him to bring out the 2nd yellow of this race. Coming out 3 and 4, looks fine there. Gets a little bit flirtatious with that outside barrier. Was it an incident right in front of him that could have caused this? Looks like they're stacking up a little bit coming out of there. No harm, no foul out of 1 and 2. Maybe into 3 and 4 was where the drama took place. It's, oh yeah, you can see big stack up coming out of the corner. Multiple cars coming to blows. And unfortunately, the 2 just being the innocent victim in all that.
And Simpson is very lucky to back up into traffic there. Tower Hunter was that air car. Let's see. That was with Pearson. Making some contact, Jordan Pearson to the left rear.
That was just a messy incident all around. A big stack up coming out of 4. That's a typical Martinsville incident. There's been many crashes over the years at this track, both in the sim and in real life, where kind of starts midway through one of these corners and then just snowballs out of control and then eventually leads to a pileup coming out of it. First incident we've kind of seen like that, even though the first incident we saw earlier on for Stoneman, I believe it was, kind of started with him losing it midway through the corner and then just snowballed out of control for him having a full-on spin and nearly hitting those barrels. So we have some drivers coming down pit lane.
And a lot of people pitting here. We're seeing as drivers having some pit issues as the rest of the field tries to sort itself. Tanner Marty having some issues on pit lane. And now hearing there's an issue with pit lane opening. This is a new one. Some of the drivers are stopped on the track. There are so many cars that people are getting unsafe pit exits here, and we're at 1 to green. And now delayed yellow because there are cars still stopped on the track.
Yeah, this is messy. It's the sort of drama you usually expect at Martinsville, but certainly not what these drivers had on their bingo card for this latest round of the full-length Cup Challenge. Some of them, I believe, have gone back rolling, but an ugly series of events. iRacing maybe getting a little bit flustered with this massive pack of race cars, but either way, they're still re-racked. I think we're going to be getting the green flag back out in a couple of laps, but still a little bit of issues there with that ran through the pits.
So for those wondering, 34 cars are on the lead lap. Stony Benfield is currently the last of those on said lead lap. As things look, and with some of the pit situation, a couple drivers did pit as mentioned. That with the pit stops for much of the field for 2 tires or for 4. That's going to mean Cameron Stone is now the control car. He did choose outside. That is leader choice. Everyone else must follow the iRacing sim. Benefield in the outside spot, the inside row, should say. Conti 1-2 up in front. Green flag is out. Back underway.
And thankfully, this time for these races, there wasn't someone getting a catastrophic amount of wheel spin right upon that green flag coming out. Didn't go organized this time as they go onto the backstretch.
Conti 1-2 gets itself formed up. Lucas Hoytsma, the first of those who pit, restarting this race back in 11th position. And that's where it's going to get extremely busy here for some of these drivers. You see them already going some side-by-side. That includes drivers like Dyson, Anderson, and a few others. Caution, we're back under yellow. Heitman, Pearson, and more stacking up.
Oh, that is a messy incident coming onto the back straightaway. You can tell, even though we got one car stopped, you could just see the clutter of tire marks laid onto this racetrack. Let's take a look at this, JP.
Yeah, at least a few drivers had some issues there. Oh, wow. Almost like a parking lot as they all bounced off each other, and then right there, the snap of the way outside.
Yeah, lost it on the marbles, even though we're not even a quarter of the way through this race. A marble buildup on the outside of these corners still going to be massive with 40 cars out there on the racetrack. And clearly, all right, there was a 62 machine learning that lesson the hard way. That also just looked like a round of bumper cars heading off through turn number 1 and 2. I mean, it's a next-gen race at Martinsville. It should be expected that it may get a little bit physical, but that was extra physical there.
Lucky dog, this caution goes to Jacob Simpson. We're already less than halfway to go in the first stage. Gitter and Vrooman were amongst the pitters this time, as Vrooman picked up heavy rear end damage. And one of the main risks about this race tonight is if you do come down to pit, you better get the pit lane work done quickly. Not a lot of time to get repairs done. If you have to come down and serve for some repairs here, you have to make sure you get the service done, especially if you're at the very far end of pit road towards the commitment cone. There's a chance you can get lapped if you're too far back for a full service.
Yeah, that's the double-edged sword when it comes to having damage around here. Are you going to lose more time coming in to repair it, or more time just dealing with that damage and maybe getting it fixed incrementally every now and then? Of course, if you pick up any sort of meatball flag, you're going to have to fix that damage regardless. But I feel like it's going to be a compromise that these drivers are going to have to do all throughout tonight. Fix the damage every now and then, but you don't want to spend 1,000 years down in pit lane. Otherwise, you're going to be in some even more trouble.
You've had some people go to the pit lane and park their cars. Tyler Hunter is officially out of the race. Jordan Pearson has parked it for the night, and Neil Pearson has just had some technical issues that has seen him leave the racing circuit. Lucas Hoitzma only got to 10th for this upcoming restart, but up front, it is Stone, it is Benefiel in control. Stone in control from the high side as the green flag's out. No issues off the launch. Back it away as Pfeffer tries to take second.
Drivers head their way off to turn number 1 and 2, hoping that they can get into some sort of groove like they did before. We've had a big cluster of yellows as of recent, and we're also getting to the end of this first stage in the not too far off future as well, JP. So I think these drivers secretly have their fingers crossed so we can kind of get there without any further incidents.
Some 3 wide in the heart of the field, as you see there on screen. Dyson amongst those battling, but some others are still trying to find the way around. It's Kevin Zosiak, who is way up in the bubbles. Contact Mesnard. Mesnard's in the wall.
Oh, I am very shocked the fact that didn't snowball into a major incident. That could have been a track blocker without a question or shadow of a doubt. As we're seeing Hoitzma dropping down to 9th. He at one point was in the race lead. He's dropped down like a rock. Seeing movers and shakers, comers and goers in this race very early on.
One of the pitters just saw it off the nose of Robert Miller, who's net second on the pit strategy now. Just no place to go with Trudell side by side with Miller. All you can do is wait in the popcorn seat. These two fight it out hard. And that's the tough thing. You can't just force it here. You have to be patient. If you force it, you have a big crash as a result.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of finesse that you need to have when it comes to getting moves done in this race. And also, popcorn seat, is that a Canadian impression that I'm not, a Canadian expression that I'm not familiar with yet, JP?
I mean, it's the seat where if anything happens, you pop right into action. Am I right?
Fair enough. There we go.
And, Jeremy Miller gets moved. Hoitzma gets sideways. And now saves it in the field. Able to hold on to it as Hutchinson nearly spins him around on the contact. That costs Hoitzma a lot of time. Right behind Delaney is where he sorts out. Caution back under yellow. And the cautions continue. It's a parking lot in turn 2. Brickley, Kumacheski, and Medeiros amongst those around.
As the tire smoke goes up in the air, we're going to load up replay to see exactly what went wrong here off through turn number 1 and 2. Turn into a parking lot, and let's see how it all started. It was a messy series of laps in the mid-pack, and it all started with 3 wide gone desperately wrong, 44 getting hooked, and then getting popped back as well. Not sure who that was. That may have been the 20 who also parked it in those sand barrels as well. As I said earlier on, those sand barrels can sometimes be made out of the matter of white dwarf stars. That's not going to help out his chances at all. Just an ugly incident off through 1 and 2.
All you can say is the half-mile mayhem is living up to the mayhem tonight. Darrells has come on into pit road with significant damage. He sees the reason for the penalty is he is flooring it to make it to his pit stall right now for repairs. So, all that being said here, we still have less than 20 laps to go on the stage. And we're looking clean to start, and now the attrition is really built up for the back of the field. Jason S. Taylor amongst those who complete service once again here.
That red mist has definitely descended upon these racers as we've gotten into this green-yellow cycle in this race. It's going to wear down these drivers a lot. I mean, I won't say that a green-yellow cycle in a race is like like some form of torture, but I won't say it isn't like it either for a driver's brain. It can really eat away at you rather quickly. I mean, I've seen many a race, both in my time covering sim racing events and my time watching motorsports in real life, where you get that sort of stuff going on. And even as a viewer, it can get a little bit graining before these drivers having to switch from, yeah, we're running under green, we're going to try and get these moves done, muscle past our competitors and learn how these race cars are driving, going from that to just staying around this track, puttering around, going like 50 miles an hour. It can eat away at you a lot. It's like being on a drive and then getting caught in traffic all the time.
Great point for these drivers at this point as we get set for the restart here. Up front, it's still Stone and Benefiel. Then it's Hoffman and Pfeffer, Munson and Hall. The top six, Drill and Miller right behind him for the restart. Conti looking to control things up front. Back it away as the inside line did not go, but it doesn't matter. Still preferred line. Hoffman gives his best try at it as Benefiel moves up to second.
As this race continues to flare up, these drivers are going to have to worry about where they're going to be positioned at the end of this stage. That will be super, super important for these drivers as we nearly see a little bit of bumping heading off into 1 and 2. These drivers still vacuum sealed together. I said it was like a bunch of hot dogs still in the pack, and that is still the case, even though we've just had another yellow.
And another parking lot. Wallen has swung into the pack. Again, under yellow as the Wallen tries to reverse. Let's take a look at what happened here.
It was definitely a parking lot coming out of 1 and 2. Not the first time we've seen that. Definitely won't be the last, I can assure you that. As we can see, it really started to flare up a little bit before then. We were just in front of this as this chaos broke out. You can see the 26 car on the outside, 86 on the inside. It was a tap from the 86 that spins the 26 around, and then more contact being made as he augers straight into the outside barrier, and more drivers spinning each other around, just trying to avoid any sort of drama. And also, as we were following that, the 26 damn near grip rolled and trying to get it spun back around in the right direction. Shows you the soft suspension setups for these race cars here at Martinsville.
To try and flick spin it and nearly spun into the field. Here, the Lucky Dog, Gregor Robinson again this time around. Bobby Anderson amongst those who pit. Jeremy Miller also pit. This might be an opportunity for drivers to flip the stages here. We're under 10 to go when we get back going here once again. So we might see some people at this point just say, I'm staying out. With how things are looking, Hunter Truwell would be the first of those who just pit in this layer of drivers if they were to stay out.
And one thing we should certainly consider, try saying that 5 times fast, about these drivers and the pit strategies they may try and implement is how these tires are doing. I mean, it's been a rather hot start to this race, both in terms of the action out there on the racetrack and in terms of the temperatures. Track temperature is still around 104, which is certainly lower than the 111 degrees Fahrenheit that we were seeing earlier on, but that's still not icy cold either. These tires are definitely getting worn down, and considering this green yellow cycle, we have to think about something I raised on another Maconi Entertainment broadcast literally 1 day ago, talking about heat cycling of tires. Whenever you heat a tire up and cool it back down, there's certain solvents in the tire that get gassed out. They escape that tire, and then if you do that too many times, the tire just isn't going to be as sticky as it once was. From my real life experience running in karts, definitely had to deal with that a lot. So we may have to start worrying about these tires just flat out losing grip, not even through wear. It's going to get tough.
Delayed restart once again as a good portion of the field had not caught up to the pace car yet. So it will be for these drivers, give and take, about 7 laps to be able to get going here for Stage 1's points. Robert Miller still the first of those who have pit in this race so far. So the tires haven't really come in to matter all that much with all the caution flags that have flown so far. We'll get set here for the restart and run down the order. Stone, Benefiel in the front row. Hoffman and Pfeffer in row 2. Johnson and Miller in row 3. Hall and Hoytsmill row 4. Delaney and DeCiani in row 5. All set to go as Paul Hill has re-entered pit road here. Again, Stone controlling things from the top of the racetrack. Green flag is out. Back to racing from the paperclip.
Again, off to a good one. Some drivers able to get that power nailed down, not having to worry about wheel spin, but we only have a couple of laps left in this stage. I wonder if we are going to make it to that 80-lap mark in time, or if we are going to have another yellow disrupt this race. We're going to have another yellow.
We got another one. Jacob Simpson is around, back under yellow, and that could be close for the stage here.
And that was perfectly timed from me as well.
Seen him all over the curbing with some bumping as he tried to get in line, I think, into turn 3. Let's take a look.
Yeah, heading down into 3 and 4 right now. You can see that bumping going wrong sends him off into that inside asphalt area. That used to be grass. That could have been even worse a matter of a couple of years ago. Still not good, as you can see him losing control and spinning around. That 2 car has had a really rough go of things in this first stage. Was running solidly all right, then got involved in, I think it was the second yellow, I believe, unless I am very much mistaken, coming out of 3 and 4. And coming into 3 and 4 this time, it was the other trouble spot for the 2.
We'll have to see if we get a 1-lap stint here to end off stage 1, or a couple laps at least, or if we get things finished up here. It's going to depend on the field. I didn't hear any call of any shortening. So, first of those who pit this wave was Derek Heitman for service. Drivers who just came down as high as 20th in the field. So, all of these drivers having a bit of a blender when it comes to the running order at the moment. This is getting wild. Something's happened to Jason S. Taylor. Jason S. Taylor just got disqualified by the sim.
Oh boy, that is a very odd. What in the world must have gone on there? Should be noted, it's a 17x limit for these drivers to get disqualified. Rather early to hit that, but I guess he did, as he's out.
How? Yeah, he hit the back of Tanner Marty. If you're reaching 17 incident points in 76 laps, you've got an issue.
Yeah, that is most definitely the case. I'm not sure whether it's brake failure or brain failure that caused him to get DQ'd, as we're going to take a look to see what happened here.
It's the 60.
Yeah, that's... I'm dumbfounded, honestly. 17x in 70 laps, that's not good at all.
In live action, they are getting the restart, by the way. Pit road is closed. We're back to racing. This is now the end off stage 1. Cameron Stone started on the pole, got uprooted immediately, and now we'll come to the white flag this time by. Final time around in stage 1. Will Benefield pressurize him out of the way? We have lots of spinners. Some chaos in the field. Caution flag is out. That'll end the stage as a good portion of the field crashes.
Holy cow, I think that had to have been double digits of cars involved in all of that. What in the world happened there? I guarantee that was not one singular incident. I think it probably had to have been about 3 separate incidents at the very least.
Stone, Benefield, Hoffman, Pfeffer, Hodgson, DeCiani, Hodgson, Delaney, Owens, O'Brien, the top 10. That was pure chaos. Lucas Hoytsman got uprooted. Nicholas Roman had to come to a stop. Dustin Hall got looped around in the Conti car. All sorts of spinnies.
Yeah, that was just an ugly series of circumstances heading off through 1 and 2. It's going to end this stage in dramatic fashion and bizarre fashion as well, with that DQ that we had a couple of moments ago. Could barely even shake off the circumstances surrounding that before we saw how many cars was it spun around with. A lot of them, that's for certain.
A lot of people already have come down to pit road for service. Cam Stone amongst them, as Matt DiCiani is the first of those who stayed out here over Delaney Hutchinson and a few others. I know the conversation might come down to what's the fuel mileage like, but I don't think that's a conversation drivers are having with the way things are going here.
Yeah, I can imagine that these drivers are less so worried about fuel mileage and more so worried about how long their cars are going to last out there on the racetrack. It's been a brutal start up and down the grid. There has been plenty of stuff, and gotten to the point where everyone's really hoping that this race settles into some sort of groove. It's been hectic. I mean, was that, I believe, our 6th yellow? I believe I'm being completely honest. I think I've kind of lost count at this point.
A warning just went over the radio from race control to make sure drivers tone it down. From what we've seen, there was a meme posted earlier this morning by some of the league admins that said that if you are driving that causes multiple caution flags, you have the chance of suspension. And you don't want to be suspended if you are to compete for the championship. Right now, getting all set to go for the restart as the field has not caught up. We're delayed green again.
And there you can see those drivers heading their way off into turn number 1 and 2 right now. Hopefully, we'll be able to get them re-racked in a couple of moments' time. I am actually, I'll pass this off to you, JP, because I'm going to be looking down and seeing all the series of circumstances that went down involving Jason S. Taylor getting disqualified, because there was an incident heading into the pits, and I think there may be a little bit of drama involving that too.
Let's find out how this goes here. Once again, DiCiani in control, Delaney in second, Hunt third, O'Brien in fourth, Vroman in fifth, Dodson in sixth, Trudeau in seventh, Anderson eighth. Then in ninth is Matthew Boston Wheeler. And Dyson top 10. Here we go. Get the bubble wrap out. It's time for stage 2. Up to lap 180. Less than 100 laps to work in this stage as the Fortis machine tries to hold on in front. RH Motorsports machine, Ralph Hutchinson a second.
And hoping that these drivers will calm down a little bit, light a scented candle, and grab a good book, because based off some of the stuff that's been going on thus far, I think they need a little bit of peacefulness at this stage of the race. Haven't even broken lap 100. A lot of drivers end up involved in some collisions, but it looks like a rather clean restart up to this point. I shouldn't have even said anything because I probably just jinxed it.
Yeah, right now some of the drivers like Bobby Anderson trying to hold on to a +4. It's a +20. Bill one with his strategy at the moment. They had been running in the 30s. And the back row entry much of the way. Up front, DiCiani on 4 tires. It was a 2-tire stop for Hutchinson when he pitted around the same time as the 4. Others like Vroman dealing with the send. Truel on fresher rubber here.
And you can see these drivers still side by side, hang their way off through 3 and 4 right now. About to click over to lap 90, and these drivers are going to find it side by side, racing hard, still heading down that start finish straightaway off into 1 and 2. Let's see if that 71 car on the inside line is going to withstand that challenge. Truel in that car trying to fight for 4th. It's still going to be a hard fought fight with Vroman on the outside still.
Still can't clear, still alongside, side by side. And that's a tough thing. You don't want to slide up and destroy the car on the outside. It's good battling as Simpson up 20 as well as to 11th. Looking back at the 71. Good corner exits, but the speed is showing from the 95. Remember, Ryko power under the hood for that 95 as the 71 clears.
It looked like it was going to be a good challenge, and they finally single fouled out, albeit for about a second. They're now side by side yet again, all through 3 and 4. Roman in the 95 not giving up. Another yellow is coming out.
And in our parking lot, Jeremy Miller's in it. Miller got hit. At least one of our car was stopped on the outside line there, and oh boy, it was Jacob Simpson. There goes the top 10, and there's some chaos. He got hit by a couple cars.
Yeah, that was just another ugly incident. Lots of drivers stacking up. We're going to have to start thinking about those 17X limits. And we saw that moment for Jason Taylor earlier on, and I have a feeling that he's not going to be alone in all of that. And we'll say, I think we're going to try and load up the replay to try and figure out what happened to him. It was a messy incident. Hang down into the pits. You can see the 29 car of Tanner Marty right in front. Slow down a little bit. What happened there, he got a call to let somebody by on pit entry, and unfortunate there for Jason S. Taylor right behind in the 60 machine. Absolutely nowhere he could have gone and all of that, and he was not very happy over the radio, and understandably so. Unfortunately, a small little glitch there for the driver right in front that he was actively trying to fix right after it happened led to him getting DQ'd in maybe the most tragic striking of a falling anvil in a driver's head I've seen in my entire time doing iRacing broadcasts.
It's to the point where one of the questions on Race Control Radio a little while ago was, can Race Control clear incident points? The answer is no. No, they cannot. And this is why you need to be careful and be really aware of your situation right now, especially the further back you go, the harder it is. Paul Hill has now parked his car from incidents. Now he's out of the race.
You know, JP, my dad taught me a very important lesson when I was still in school. He always taught me that no question is a stupid question. So I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that I don't blame whoever that was for asking Race Control that question.
Okay. So, lap 96, DeCiani in control. Hutchinson to the outside. Back to racing we go. We might see some give and take here in the battle for second. Teammates are battling for that second spot. Yes, Hutchinson does hold on second from the outside. Truel does go for a send. Gets blocked off hard by Delaney.
These drivers now hoping, I'm not even going to say what I've said for the past like 50 laps, it feels like at this point. They're just trying to single file out as quickly as they can at the front of the field, but I will say Hunter Truel, maybe he's trying to get a move done around the outside of Jonathan Delaney, heading off through 1 and 2s. These drivers nearly go 3 wide right behind, off into 3 and 4.
Gonna settle things out here. O'Brien, also a part of the plus 20 club. Also have some 3 wide as some drivers go up in the marbles. That is Noah Hamilton getting out of the way. He makes contact with Quentin Hoffman and into the marbles again.
Yeah, that 24 car is handling like a trash bag full of mango polka, thrown down a flight of stairs. You can see the splitter on that race car, all sorts of chewed up. You can just see it in the center. It's like lifted up a couple of inches from the rest of the splitter. So not sure how he picked up that damage, when he picked up that damage, but someone just knocked the crap out of the inside barrier coming out 1 and 2.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Gregor Robinson has come to pit road, by the way, in all of this craziness. Pfeffer alongside the 01 right now, trying to find a way ahead. One of the freshest tire sets in the field. And when you have a good car, you can do what Pfeffer just did, make a pass high side.
Yeah, that is the sign of a very strong race car, and let's see if he's going to hold off that challenge for now. It's all got to be close with Pfeffer currently running in 12th at the moment, trying to withstand that challenge. He's still got Matthew Wheeler on the inside of him, just barely, though. It's a matter of a couple of feet between those two cars in terms of the overlap. I think he was finally able to clear him in that number 66 machine, as the 01 now stuck with the 76 on the outside of him. That's Heitman.
Heitman, remember, having to work his way from the back to the front, has now made his way back to 13th position. Now backing up his corners compared to Wheeler, and that seems to be working for him. Oh, wow. Bobby Anderson under attack by Pfeffer in front of him. 76 tries to go wide and tries to get the power down to get around this 01 car.
See, that's not going to work out too well for the 1, despite the fact he's on that inside line, which, as we talked a lot about thus far in this broadcast, JP, that is the good position to find yourself in. He's still dropping down like a rock, so clearly something's wrong with that 01 car as he continues to lose out on some positions and may lose out on another in the not too far off future.
Front. It is Hutchinson in second. It's Delaney in third for the time being. Good old choo-choo train effect as see the race leader DeCiani starting to build a small buffer. And even with the different tire sets right now, the tires, all the cautions don't seem to matter. We're back under yellow. Noah Hodgson has gone around in the 12, and we're back under yellow.
And may need to rack the replay up to figure out what exactly went wrong to bring out another yellow in this race. 108 laps completed of this 400-lap long race, and there's a moment you can see him already spun. Oh, wow, that started well before then. Talk about some assistance. Holy cow, that was just about as much of a flat-out wreck as you could get.
And the message radio was clear. 300 more laps, guys. And now has significant damage. And we have pit stops yet again. Under the caution, Vroman, Anderson, Dodson, and a lot of other drivers coming down for pit services. Your lucky dog zipping around the outside in this sequence. That will be Kevin Zosiak this time around. So, track position is very much clear. If you have the front, you're going to have an easier time to keep up front. What's it going to take for someone to rip away the race lead here and get the clean air ripped away from someone like DeCiani outside of them pitting?
That is a very important question that he asked, JP. I feel like, it's probably going to take a little bit of elbow grease to try and get that done. You're either going to have to wheel around the outside of him or maybe nudge him out of the way somewhat. It's going to take some outside force, though, to try and get that move done and clearly fast at the front of this field. It's got to take a little bit of extra pressure, not only in terms of applying pressure to him mentally, but maybe applying some pressure to the back end of his race car.
Yeah, right now, at this point, everyone just trying to make sure they keep the track position. EOL penalty, Jacob Simpson is cautioned. So 2, I have to go to the back. Gregory Robinson has parked his car for the night. As we come up to 1 to green yet again. One of the things we might see rare for him tonight as well, keep in mind, clean race cars, just about half the field has at least picked up some sort of contact already. How things have looked so far in this pack. DeCiani in control again for the restart. He's led 30 laps since taking the lead to start off this stage. Looks to keep it up. And looks to get going once again here for the green. Early launch from the 4.
Well, you can see some drivers already shuffling lanes, heading down into turn number 1, taking that opportunity. Saw that window on the inside and moved to the inside as early as possible. That right there, I believe, was Andrew Dyson, I think, in the number 41 machine. Actually, no, my apologies. That was Patrick Gitter, I believe, who switched to the inside line as quickly as he possibly could on that restart. Worked out well for him as he's side by side with Hunter Truel battling for a spot in the top 4.
Oh, we have a send for the race lead. Delaney able to get to the inside of the 4. And Jonathan Delaney to the point. Able to get his first lead lap of the race right then and there as Truel gets uprooted from the bottom by Gitter.
As you still see some drivers going side by side, nearly 3 wide, heading down the back straight away a little bit farther in the back. A shot side by side racing continuing at the front of this field. These drivers, despite the fact it's been very hectic up to this point, they want to get into the zone, they want to get into a green flag run, but they still want to get moves on each other. There's no point being in a green flag run if you're going to find that green flag run stuck behind a rolling roadblock, as you may see it. So that's going to be tough. There's a little bit of bumping heading down into 3 and 4.
Upper cars, Cam Stone amongst that. Wheeler continues to fall down the running order up front. Truel trying to make the second groove work. The 8 having some wiggles out of the corner though as Truel takes advantage for the side-by-side.
And let's see how it shakes out coming out of 3 and 4. It's a drag race down that start-finish straightaway between Hutchinson and Truel. Looks like Truel going to be able to clear him entering the corner, but another yellow coming out.
Carl Dodson this time gets called for the yellow. Got some help from Bobby Anderson this time out of turn 4. And the spinny's coming out there once again, Ron. Back at Rio, we are at the moment. Delaney, DeCiani, Joel Hudson, and Gitter now the top 5 here. Cautions breed cautions. It's all you can really say as we still have about 61-ish. Next time by, laps to go on the stage. What's kind of going? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Right as I got back from unmuting myself on Discord, I realized that my microphone on my mixing board was muted, so true professionalism there. I apologize about that, but I raised a point earlier on talking about the mind games in this race and how for some of these drivers who got off to a rather rough start, it's going to feel like such a long night here at Martinsville. For some of these racers, it's going to feel like 400 laps is more like 400 days. The way I usually like to phrase it in terms of getting off to a good start in a race like this, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and you don't want to twist your ankle on that first step. And some drivers a bit more fortunate than others in that regard, shall we say.
Yeah, at some point, we'll get things cleaned up. It may require absolute decimation of things, but some point we'll have a green flag run. So Delaney though going to be in control for the upcoming restart here. DeCiani, Truel, Hutchinson, Gitter, Dyson, O'Brien, top 7. Gerald, Heitman, Pfeffer, the top 10. I almost wonder what's going to mind some of these drivers at the moment with the way things are shaping up here. At this point, you have to wonder what the mindset is. All these battles have a hard time moving through this field.
Yeah, what is a mind frame that these drivers have? Is it like a sense of impending dread? Not entirely sure. It'd be nice to have a chat with some of these drivers and try and figure out what's going through their head.
Yeah, at this point, to wonder what's going on in the minds of some as Delaney has the mind to move forward. And up to second goes the 71. So having a good run here in this one. They make the way to the corner, and here we go again. It's Brickley. Brickley turned around in the Buckshot Jones paint scheme. Carl Dodson again stopped back under yellow.
And the Buckshot Jones paint scheme taking a shot into the outside wall, heading down that back straightaway into 3 and 4. Gotta take a look at a replay. I think, yeah, the 30 car had a little bit of room on the outside, but not a lot. Those two got tangled up on the 44, taking a one-way trip into that outside wall. Some more drivers spinning as a result of all of that, but after a half a lap of racing action, we are back under yellow.
Chaos reigns supreme.
That certainly does. I think some of these drivers may need to get some like T-shirts made talking about how chaos could definitely ring true around a racetrack like this. And man, I'm starting to run out of stuff to talk about. I may need to pull up some Martinsville trivia because this has been a very crazy start to this race. I think these drivers do not know what the phrase "settle down and relax" is.
I mean, you can always talk about the hot dogs here. Obviously, that's a big hit when it comes to paperclip. But at this point, there is some thought on what we may see race control say, because this is getting to a big point, the caution periods. Some drivers are already talking about single filing here, but the problem is that's only going to make it where you have a conga line.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's going to go, and I've seen fail videos on cruise ships to know how conga lines can usually end. And I mean, we even saw that earlier on in this race. I forget what restart it was, where we had, I think, about like 5 cars kind of act like a NASCAR next-gen Noon's cradle heading off through 1 and 2. One popped into the other, who popped into another, who popped into another, and it was just a chain reaction of incidents heading off through turn at number 1 and 2. It's gonna get to the point very early on in this race where we're going to see drivers dip out, not only because of damage, but also just because of those incident points. 17x, that's what you get in officials, and no more than that. These drivers are going to start dropping out like flies, I think.
Here we go again. Delaney and Trullo now in the front row. Highest up to 71's been here tonight. Green flag is out. Backing away. Good restart for the front row as the 71's able to block off DeCiani. Teammates from Fortis now in row 2, side by side.
Fanning out still side by side throughout a massive chunk of this field, heading their way through 3 and 4. Seeing that outside line work a little bit better than we were probably expecting in this race, JP. And I'm starting to think about how this track has evolved ever since then. With the amount of side-by-side running and restarts that we've had, I think that outside line getting a bit more rubber than we probably expected.
No, more crashing. And the wall goes Jim Schofield. And we're back under yellow. Robert Miller also went around off the nose of Adam Benefiel.
We're going to take a look at a replay to see this drama heading off through 3 and 4. I was too busy taking a look at the weather forecast to see this incident. Multiple cars coming to blows, ending up in the wall. Got to feel bad for these iRacing fabricators at the end. There's not enough Red Bull in the world for them to be able to fix these cars.
You just pick it up the side of the sponsorship from Heitman's car. But drivers getting a second warning from race control to give each other more room here. And at this point, we'll have to see what will happen. We are in single file restarts. They have moved to single file, Ron.
That's going to be a big difference. It adds a completely different dynamic to the rest of this race. I wonder how it's going to affect. It's clearly double file. Through turn 1, it's all right. Then hang down the back straightaway when they try and make it 3 and sometimes even 4 wide. Just does not work at all. I'm really interested to see how this single file restart is going to shake out.
Yeah, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm.
Yeah,
look,
this might be this. We might see some sends, but we might see this being pretty clean. But also might be difficult for people to get some track position built up in the single file. If they get a clean run, race control said they will be rewarded with double file.
There we go. Yeah, I think kind of reminds me of my middle school science class. But you know, hey, it's Martinsville. These drivers, I don't know, man, what it is. There's, I don't know, like a natural gas leak or something around here. It brings out the best in drivers, and it can also bring out the worst in drivers. And if we're being completely honest, we've kind of seen both ends of the spectrum of that thus far in this race. These drivers getting a nice little treat to them. It's like dangling a carrot in front of a rabbit. I think that's the best way we could describe it.
Here we go. No passing before the start and finish line. As they all get ready to start this up from the very top line like a ramp. Green, green, green. Back underway. And we'll see if the field gets on its best behavior. Back of the field trying to get going as there are the sends we were expecting. O'Brien sent it alongside Madero's.
Yeah, and 133 laps in, I think these drivers are they're probably just hoping for this race to be over at this point in time, but we're not at the halfway mark yet, and these drivers are hoping to get there as soon as humanly possible. It looks like this single file approach has actually produced some okay results thus far. I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch, though, considering we're just about to complete the second lap back under green flag racing. 135 laps on the board, and clearly this single file strategy actually working out okay thus far.
Hamilton coming out of the pit road. Lose a few laps right now, but Gitter trying to pressurize things for second. Gitter up 14 in this race here tonight. How things have progressed so far. Decent run for Gitter. Gitter, keep in mind, one of the winners this season. Others trying to move ahead as we take a look at them in the middle of the pack.
In the midfield, they are still side by side, so clearly, despite all of this, these drivers still going to be racing hard, as I think there was a moment with the 65 coming out of 3 and 4. You can see him, he was a little bit slow. Coming out of that section, has dropped down a teeny tiny bit, still finds himself involved in this battle, though, so it's not game, set, match for Sean O'Brien. How's this going to shake out for these racers, though, is a real question. One other thing to raise, talking about the difference in dynamic from going from those double file restarts to these single file ones. Gonna have to deal with traffic a little bit earlier than previously expected. So, I mean, I guess we'll get to the point where we will have to worry about traffic under green, but for the leaders, that's not music to their ears, is it?
No, traffic wasn't that big of an issue in our first learns of the race here tonight. Let's see if it becomes one this time. Dustin Hall, seen him on the board, by the way, currently up to 15th position, battle with Komacheski. See them right there. Just about everybody single filed for the time being, but we've had an issue. Pfeffer has come down to pit road. Something has happened to the 66. They might have broken in something here.
Yeah, trying to figure out exactly what is going on. They're going to stop in their pit stall looking through. I don't believe they have any sort of meatball flag or something like that, so it must be just some damage that's preventing that car to be driving as well as it usually did. He's deciding, you know what, hey, now's the time to come into pit lane. We are coming up to the end of this second stage in about 39 laps time, so maybe trying to pull off some sort of strategic call with that, potentially. Not entirely sure what Christopher Pfeiffer has cooking up at the moment, but he's spending a whole lot of time down in pit lane, now about 26 seconds in the pit stall.
Take a look at the replay here. Take a look coming up to Jeremy Miller, should be. Right now, still seeing the race leaders on screen. And we're back live as Lucas Hoitzma goes alongside Devin Medeiros. That's a squeeze.
Yeah, these drivers may be starting to hustle each other around a little bit around this racetrack. It's gone into the longest green flag run that I think we've seen in about 45 minutes, and I'm hoping to God I didn't jinx it. God damn it. I would like to apologize.
I think that's the second or third time on cue.
Yeah. I should just like duct tape my mouth shut or something like that for the end of this, bro. Do everyone a disservice. Make sure there's no more yellow flags coming out. Also, will say Christopher Pfeiffer's still in the pits.
Sonny Benfield, is this the caution? And hello, correction to the wall.
Yeah, again, way too squirrely. I wonder if he locked up the rears heading down there. That could have been what took place for him, but this I think was another incident that happened beforehand. This did not bring a yellow out, but it did create a little bit of drama a little bit farther in the mid-pack.
This is the Jeremy Miller situation we were talking about. And yeah, how about getting basically punted and ran out of the way for a spot? Yeah,
the old classic Martinsville move. That's what you usually see. Very lucky that didn't bring the yellow out, but of course that incident off through 3 and 4 did. As we're gonna take a look at another replay of the drama that we've seen thus far in this race. You can see the contact being made, pops him around, and then another bit of contact brings him back around to the right direction. So I guess. Does that cancel itself out? The initial spin to send him into the half spin, and then another tap to take him out of it.
Pepper's now parked it for the race, by the way. Robert Miller and Sonny Benfield, significant time, now in the pit lane. As we still have less than 40 to go in stage 2. So we are quickly approaching the halfway point, and keep in mind, eventually Delaney, Hutchinson, and some of these drivers will have to pit soon. We have some of your leaders that have been out there for more than 100 laps since their last pit stop.
And I mean, honestly, I feel like these tires, based off the green-yellow cycle we've had thus far, they could probably last another 100 if they if they play their cards right. It's been not the most strenuous race for these tires, and as we slowly move on in the day in the sim, I mean, we started off kind of in the mid-afternoon. It's gotten to the point now where the track temperatures are just barely in the hundreds at 100 degrees Fahrenheit precisely. Getting back to green here.
Coming to the race start zone. Green flag is out, and we're back to racing. Oh, Delaney didn't get going this time. Drill trying to go for it for the lead. Makes contact with Delaney. Delaney pushed up into the marbles. Hunter Trill to the race lead.
I can't say I'm entirely surprised that it came down to that, but Truel getting that move done to slip his way up into the race lead. Meanwhile, he's dropping down like a rock. That's Delaney in the 6 machine, running an 8th right now. Restarted in the lead, finds himself in 8th a matter of a half a mile later. That is going to sting.
Indeed it is right now, as most of the drivers staying in a line outside of one. Cameron Stone is amongst those trying to move ahead. Move ahead into the top 10 of Sean O'Brien. But we've seen that aggression need to be done, and that's what happens when you don't get a good restart like the 6 did. You get uprooted.
Yeah, that's honestly, as much as it was definitely a choice to be in bang doors at that early stage of that restart and be able to muscle and pass, Truel did what he had to do in all of that. That's exactly what went on with that restart when Truel had to give the nudge to Jonathan Delaney in the 6 machine. We'll get that replay racked up here in the not too far off future, as that's what resulted in with Hunter Truel in that number 71 Maconi Entertainment car, certainly bringing the action and the thunder down into 1 and 2 as he muscled his way past, and clearly using up the bumpers a little bit. But again, hey, I mean, thankfully, the iRacing fabricators do not have emotions, which I think is playing well in these drivers' cards.
Right now, Patrick Gitter providing some footsteps up front as he He tries to provide some pressure. We've had some issues, it looks like, with Jacob Simpson. That's why his name. And we have another disqualification. Another driver has reached the incident limits. Simpson has now reached it from a hit to the wall.
And the worst part about this is because it's 17x for DQ and no penalty points, these drivers don't really have like a visual cue, because usually in a race, you trundle down the pits having to serve a drive-through. That's your usual cue to be like, yeah, I should probably settle down and take it a little bit easy. No, you don't have that in this race, and you can see got sideways coming out of the corner, bang into the inside wall, and he gets sent off into the Shadow Realm as a result.
Robert Miller has officially retired from the race also, just before Simpson was recorded with the DQ on the racetrack. We're down to 30 cars running after 40 starters in the race. Mind you, 40 cars is actually our lowest starting total of the season, funnily enough. That includes with the newcomers tonight, such as Benfield in the pack. Laps turning right quickly here as in the backdrop. Hoytsma is amongst the side-by-sides. You've seen there was Stone, everybody else staying in the choo-choo train.
Yeah, that train is still chugging along around this racetrack, and you can see these drivers maybe trying to bring a little bit of civility into this race. There's still some side-by-side battling going on all throughout it, but I think we've reached the point that I always like to call the R&D point of the race, where these drivers are researching their competitors and trying to develop a strategy to get past them, and this may be it here from Patrick Gitter, trying to get a move done in the number 21 machine on the 71 of Hunter Truel. They side-by-side off into one. They single-filed out coming out of it, but Gitter really feeling racy.
Drive poke. Actually pressurized the 71 up the racetrack. Gonna get the job done in that sequence. Less than 20 to go in stage 2. Now in this one. Delaney, meanwhile, moving his way back up after the slip and slide earlier on. The former NASCAR Cup driver now 2-7.
Seeing these drivers at this stage continue to run around the racetrack, and we're also starting to see the front two of Truel and Gitter kind of break away from Ralph Hutchinson in that number 8 machine. It's a bit of a gap developing between second and third. Wouldn't say it's a massive gap, but it's getting comfortable for the front two in this field. I mean, granted, they find themselves in a pressure cooker situation, battling for the race lead with only about a quarter of a second separating the two of them at this stage, halfway through the 163rd lap of this 400 lap long race. But we are starting to see that breakaway at the front of the field.
Yeah, starting to get into a good rhythm here. Watch there be a spin in the next 5 seconds once again, knowing the jinx. But
and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're still on the green.
Yes, no jinx this time. But
we've finally avoided it.
Yes. But all that's wow, here comes Dyson. Andrew Dyson wanting to move ahead is going up for third. That's the highest we've seen Dyson up, and there it is. There it is. Caution flag is out. It's Wheeler and Hall this time.
See, I gotta say, this is a little bit selfish, but I'll be honest, JP. I'm kind of glad that we both pulled off the jinx this time. So it's no longer just me. It's basically murder and accessory between us two.
Contact between these two puts us back under caution. And that's what happens when the cautions breed cautions, or rather, when tempers start to temper out. By the way, we have not seen any indication of a double file with how things have looked so far, so we have not gotten to that indication. Let's take a look at the replay once again. This was the restart. Remember, that's seen the change for the race lead.
And you can see the 6 spinning its wheels a little bit. It was like a dog on a freshly polished wood floor. And there you go, the 71 muscling his way on the inside line and shoving his way past. It was definitely a risky move for sure, but he really had to get it done. Otherwise, he was going to find himself to be a bit of a sitting duck on that restart. So it was definitely muscling his way past, but the 71 car really had to do it.
Multiple pit stops this caution flag. They include Hall, Heitman, Berkeley, Marty, a few others. All dumped down to the right. See the constant penalties keep being picked up on pit road exit. A lot of people are saying, what's a penalty when I just want to exit my pit box?
Yeah, so the penalties not helping these drivers out at all, and continuing to touch on the point that's going to be a rather vital factor in this race. 17 incident points is the limit for these drivers to pick up a disqualification. Those incident points handed out by iRacing themselves. It's up to 4 incident points for car contact. I think it's 1 for, I guess the 1 would be for wall contact, considering you can't really get an off track around here, and 2x would be for losing control. So I've seen some drivers already catch those disqualifications because they've breached that incident point limit. That's just about how it usually is in official races on the iRacing platform. So just about no change there, but still catching out a lot of these racers.
Let's do this again. 11 to go in this stage. And a little bit lower line this time. Oh, they're stacking up big time into 3. Green flag is out up front. Back on her way. No freeze in the field with some troubles there in the corner. As Gitter just about got to the bumper there. Coming at 10 laps to go in stage 2.
These drivers starting to think about the end of this stage, and will they be able to make it there without any sort of extracurricular activities or dysfunction? Some close quarter stuff coming out of turn number 4. Clearly, these drivers still not giving a quarter at there on the racetrack and expecting none from their competitors as well. Side-by-side racing involving the 6th going to result in the 6th making his way up another spot. So he's still on the hard charge after that moment on the restart. Matter of probably about 10 minutes ago at this point. Side-by-side racing down into 1 involving William Owens. Actually, no, that's William Owens just picked up a DQ. He was running at 15th. He's now out of it as a yellow coming out again.
Carl Dodson again involved. It also collected the 30. Nicholas Vroman you could also throw in the mix. They were 3 wide.
And let's take a look at this, heading off through 1 and 2, just about clean through there, clean through the exit. 3 wide, I have a terrible feeling about this, and survey says, yep, that's exactly why I had a bad feeling about that.
Right to the DQ went to 30. Carl Dodson might be close with at least 3 spins here tonight. More look. Froman had the nose. Didn't pull out.
That's 3 wide heading into 3. That's rarely, if ever, going to work. I mean, if we were running Formula Vs around this track, sure, I can buy it. NASCAR Next Gen cars, someone's going to get the short end of the stick in a situation like that, and clearly still going to work out the same.
Dampers continue to flare as we are back to a few lap shootout situation for the stage. Interestingly enough, Adam Benefield came down and got some damage repair done under this caution flag. Amongst those who ducked down to the pit lane, DeCiani did come back down again. And now we'll start towards the back here. Drivers being told to keep it calm for the stage points in a couple laps time. We are not at the halfway mark either in this race. Remember, stage 3, one of the longest stages of the season so far, of more than 220 laps.
And at this point in time, I'm starting to worry that I may get a noise complaint from one of my neighbors at the end of this rather late here on the east coast of the U.S., currently 9:54 p.m. So if I randomly blink out this broadcast, it's probably because one of my neighbors decided that enough was enough. They need to get a good night's rest here on Saturday night and cut my power.
And I'm trying to read 19 cautions is the total at the moment. Oh boy.
Yeehaw.
Green flag. Back underway, under 5 to go in this stage. We see the field stay single file for the most part. Side by side with Delaney with Komacheski back there. Rather, that is Stephen Williams, who we haven't talked about much all season, getting past.
And there we go, some side-by-side racing flaring up a little bit, just barely inside of the top 10. These drivers hoping to bring this stage to a clean conclusion. Only have a couple more laps to bring this second stage to an end. Did not see the full 80 laps completed, had that yellow come out beforehand to bring it to a close the first stage. I think we have a good shot to get it done on lap 179 right now. Let's see if Hunter Truex can lead this field back around and take it to the end of the second stage under green.
Want to go in stage 2. Truex, Gitter, Dyson, 1, 2, and 3. Will anybody try some daring moves for the stage? This is Dyson's cam. Try to stay laser focused as he tries to see if the outside's going to work. Maybe get the diamond line down. No, Hunter Truex gets stage 2 and gets the green white checkered together. Gitter, Dyson, Hoffman, Hutchinson, Madero, Stone, Komacheski, Delaney, Lucas Hoitzma, your top 10. Hearing double file is coming back as well.
And keeping our fingers crossed that it's going to be a bit better than it was earlier on. I will say these drivers surprised me a little bit in terms of the way those single file restarts went. I was kind of expecting it to be, as I said earlier on, a bit of a Newton's cradle heading off through some of these corners. One car bouncing into another, who bounces into another, who bounces into another, causing a chain reaction incident. But because of this yellow, we got drivers coming down the pits.
Stage results once again on screen. That's how things were at the end of the stage. Good job from Truex. Gets himself a playoff point as well with those totals. Pit stops underway. As we are under the caution period here, why don't we take the opportunity to speak with someone in the infield care center. As they get their service done, William Owens is amongst the drivers out of the race. William, how would you describe the race there from your perspective?
Unfortunate. A lot of X's that weren't my fault. Just dodging cars all day, man. Especially there at the at that final restart before I got DQ'd. Delaney just pile drove me under caution. 8 of my X's were under caution, by the way. Just really unfortunate. Had some ghost X's early. Just really bad luck, which sucks. We had an excellent car. Felt really stable. Felt really good. Even got my first stage points today. So it was a bit of a mixed bag, is how I would describe it.
How tricky is it to be able to try and get positions done? We had 20 cautions, by the way, in that period. How tricky is it to move forward when you have 20 cautions in 180 laps?
It all comes down to pit strategy at that point. You have to time your pit stops and pass people and get off cycle. That's how I got my stage points, actually. I pitted early and then got back by everyone. You can't really pass under green here. Even if your car is faster, it's just really difficult to pass under green.
On that note, anything you're keeping in mind for the rest of the campaign here, as it's still early in the season already, with tonight going to be 7 races in the books?
Keep my head, especially after getting DQ'd in such a stupid way. Keep working on the car. We've been getting better results every week, steadily working our way through the field. So I'm hoping to just continue the points run. Not expecting to win the championship, mind you, but top 30, top 25 in points is kind of the goal for this first season with me and my racing team.
Well, why don't you get back to the rest of the team and come to the restart. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
William Owens taking some time here after stage 2 to speak with us. As Clayton Hoffman stayed out, he takes the green. Delaney amongst those who pit on the previous caution. Starting in second, Lucas Hoitzman third. Nicholas Roman also in that same boat in fourth with Sean O'Brien looking for the top 5.
And now in the final stretch of laps to get to the halfway mark of this race. It's been a first half filled with drama. Raised this point in the small little chat that we have with 20 cautions in the first 180 laps. That works out to an average green flag run of about 9 laps and 9 laps alone. These drivers looking to bring an end to this first half in a clean way and hoping that will be a sign of changes for the second half of this race.
I think that's the main hope for some of the drivers. Changes for the better. We're down to 29 cars running after all, as here we go again. Brickley having some problems here. And that's queued things up as Brickley up the track. And nearly 3 wide, was 3 wide with Wheeler and Gitter.
These drivers clearly deciding that it's still a race worth fighting for and throwing everything they've got at the wall and seeing what sticks, as that's not sticking. A spin heading down the back straightaway.
Hot Dog Heitman going around in the heart of the field. No one else hit him. We're back under caution.
Caution number 21, and it comes out for the 76. Let's see this. Some side-by-side racing going on right in front of him. That catches him out a little bit. Contact being made. A big round of bumper cars. The 71 getting a piece of that action as well. And that, I gotta say, is an absolutely terrifying spot to be stopped at for Derek Heitman in that number 76 car. Thankfully, he was not T-boned as a result of all of that, but still going to bring this 21st yellow out of this race regardless.
And Jerry Miller and Patrick Gitter amongst those who pit this caution period. Drivers are being told one more chance to be able to do double file restarts, or else it is single file from then on out. We're at 21 caution flags, to remind you.
And I honestly think that's a good call from race control. Just be like, hey, look, you did pretty all right with the single file ones. We had a bit of carnage still, but we're going to give you guys a second chance. Ring in the final stage of this race with the way that it started. And just see how these drivers will try and manage it all. I gotta say, the end of the line penalty messages that we've had up on screen, I think if we had $1 for every single time one of those popped up, we'd probably be able to fix some of the race cars that have been damaged as a result of all of the action thus far. But the smart call from race control, that a questioner's shadow of a doubt, say to these drivers, hey, look, one more shot at this. If you screw it up, we're back to single file for the rest of the race.
Well, I don't think it's a guarantee that we're going to go green for 208 laps.
I would be willing to bet vital bodily organs of my body that we have another yellow between then and now.
Try restart here. It's Hoffman, it's Delaney, Hoitzma, Verlman, O'Brien, and Mesnard's up here right now as well. First of those on the freshest tires is Truwell in 8th position. And hold on, we have a delay. We had a car or two not catch up to the field, 3 of them in fact. So we'll try this again for the restart.
Adding more cars to the end of this field, just get them packed up, and let's see. This may very well be the final double file restart that we have in this race, and will these drivers be able to manage it? Well, let's wait and see. Those single file restarts still a little bit dramatic, but here we go. That pace car going to be rejoining the racetrack very, very briefly. I'll be getting them re-racked and restarted here in a few moments' time, and just hoping that it'll be a good one.
206 to go. And more black flags popping up. Benfield now getting one. As green flag is out. back underway. What will the field do this time from this side-by-side? Getting sorted out pretty quickly here in the first four spots at least.
It looks like at the front of the field they are going solid, but still side-by-side threat pretty much the entirety of the field right behind.
Right now, Mesnar trying to hold up on the top side. He's had an up and down campaign so far. Moving down the order right now as O'Brien tries to keep it. See, he was inside for a pass attempt. Mesnar doing a great job defensively though, but it's not going to be easy to keep it up. Side by side for the race lead, we have a battle. Delaney's going for the lead. Delaney is side by side for the point alongside Hoffman. Now back up front, it's Jonathan Delaney.
Oh, and a little bit farther in the back, someone got turned into the inside wall. Saw a big puff of smoke and someone knocking the safer barrier down. Thankfully, that's not going to bring out a yellow, but someone just picked up a lot of damage as a result of that.
The Boston Wheelers just pulled to the pit lane as well, under green. Lucas Hoitzma back up to the front after leading the first 44 laps or so in this race, by the way. Now, see what he can do. And this is going to be the tough thing for Hoitzma. He knows he's got speed, but he's not going to have an easy time to get this pass done. Here's a look at what happened with the lead.
Heading down into 3 and 4 right now. It's going to be a rather good move to take the lead of this race. And I just want to say, Matthew Boston Wheeler coming into the pits was because of the fact that he was the one that hit that inside wall in that moment that I caught in the back of shot. As we see that move to take the lead of the race, rather smartly executed off through 1 and 2, and sadly the 92 just getting hung out to dry as the 97 followed through.
Here's a look at what you may have caught there in the eye. See a lot of pushing, shoving back there at the time.
And there you can see that one, the smoke there. And more contact, hang down into 3 and 4. They were not alone. That so very well could have ended in another yellow flag coming out. These drivers have actually settled the race into a groove.
Dawson was amongst those sideways in that incident. Top two have now checked out by more than a second, by the way. Hoitzma is quicker than the race leader. Now we'll see if Hoitzma can get alongside, looking like he's trying to set him up.
And I wonder if Lucas Hoitzman, who started this race with a move to take the lead, is going to try and do it yet again. He and Jonathan Delaney have been up and down through the field, but they have spent their own respective point in time at the north end of it, and you can clearly see that's the case. And they've put a pretty big cushion as well. That 1.3 seconds being the gap between Hoitzman and Clayton Hoffman in the number 92 machine running in third. So those front two breaking away, and that could be part of the reason why we got a battle going on for third.
Nicholas Roman now up to the third spot. Truel looking to take fourth for good measure, does as well as Hoffman. He's going to have to pit eventually. Hoffman, 124 laps on those tires.
That is an absurd amount of time on the same bit of rubber. Even around Martinsville with a whole lot of yellows breaking up the racing action, that's getting to the point where you may have to wonder what that tire is made out of at this point. Is it made out of tungsten? Are the cords showing on it? Maybe, possibly. I think that car has to be, the tires on have to be made of steel. The fact he's been able to go at this race for as long as he has, as this track is continuing to cool off. Now 99 degrees Fahrenheit is the track temperature. The sun slowly but surely dipping out of the horizon as we're just now 8 laps past the halfway mark.
Turning laps quickly with Hoitzma now up in that lead. And looking to set sail and pull away here. As time progresses here with this sort of event here tonight, I think it's important to mention already with some of the races coming up in the swing of things on the schedule. Next week's going to be an interesting time for drivers because it's the first of the special paint scheme weeks that is on the schedule. There are several of them that FLCC has dictated for this campaign. That includes the FLCC 600 being the Memorial Day patriotic schemes. Nashville's supposed to be rock band and artists for music themes. If we do get Mexico City as Fiesta Latina, then you have Beers Point for favorite drinks at Sonoma. In July, it's the favorite sports team Soda Wars, confirmed at Daytona 2. And Bristol is Rainbow and Neon Night. So a lot of different looks expected to come up that will officially start next week.
And Darlington, that's going to be a good one as well. Talk about storied facilities in the world of motorsports, certainly American motorsports. Martinsville, pretty high up there, but in terms of storied tracks in the world of NASCAR, you can't get two more storied than Darlington. It was really the first paved track that the NASCAR Cup Series ever ran at. It was the first paved race. And talk about an upgrade. Drivers who had never driven on an asphalt circuit before going to the Lady in Black when it was first built way back in the day. I remember that race being rather hectic, with I think the other race winner of the first ever running of the Southern 500 having to go about that race running on heavy-duty truck tires because the tires were just wearing down way too badly for that opening running of that event. And it's a nice little history about Darlington as well. Many, many moons ago, IndyCars actually raced on there as a crash coming out of 3 and 4.
Now DQ. Jim Schofield has now gotten DQ'd in the field as Hamilton had contact with him back to the yellow.
I'm going to take a look to see what exactly happened here coming out of 3 and 4. I have a feeling it was two drivers fighting for the same piece of real estate and them just running out road. No, you can see a bad entry for the 47 car, and there we go.
Bye-bye, 47 car. And this is going to freeze us under yellow. I'm curious if they do go to single or not. That was one of our longer runs in a while for this field. So, much of the field did pit here, and it's not a surprise for some of them. Hoffman was 134 laps into his run here, Ron.
Yeah, with this yellow, I gotta wonder what's going to be the call for these drivers in terms of coming into pit lane. That is going to be a rather important factor in this race. Some of these drivers obviously going to be eyeing up pit stops. You can see like Hoffman, Vroman, Benefiel, and Bobby Anderson all coming into pit lane right about now. And one thing to raise in reference to the strategy content that a lot of these racers are going to start thinking about is, how's the rest of this race going to be? We're going to be keeping our ears open to hear whether or not we are going to have double file restarts, because they made it a long ways on that restart with a double file. It had settled into a groove before the carnage broke out again. So I think these drivers have earned the shot to at least have one more double file restart. But getting back to the point I was raising, talking about the strategy, it's so important that you need to know how the rest of the race is going to shake out, which is something that I don't think any of us really know the answer to.
Yeah, at this point, people are not sure what's going to end up happening here. So we'll have to find out what does happen, but the rest of the way this is going to go. There is still one more pace lap before we get the one to go signal here. They've decided to double up a lap early for some reason. Interestingly enough, 26 running. We might actually have half the field DNF at the rate we're going here, which would be absolutely stunning.
I gotta say, honestly, that would be, I think, one of the highest rates of attrition in a broadcast I've ever done in my over 2 years at this point of doing iRacing broadcasting. There was one time where I had, I think it was about nearly 2/3 of the field get DQ'd in a Formula Ford race in the rain at Cadwell Park a couple of months ago. I remember that race being rather hectic, with some drivers picking up some incident points limit disqualifications in that race as well. It's been a nutty race up to this point, and hey, we're thinking about how it's going to shake out at the end. We've still got we still got a rather long way left to go in this race. 219 laps on the board already.
Here we go again. White spot controlling. Delaney alongside. Green flag is out. We're back to racing. Alongside Trullo, O'Brien Jr. as well in the top 4. Will they play nice off this restart? 2 by 2 as Dustin Hall looks to move up.
And looking to get some moves done, try and shuffle around your competitors. That's the main name of the game on these restarts. A time to strike while the iron is hot. As this field is so close together, you want to get those moves done. These drivers looking to do it as best as they possibly can. Still side by side through a decent chunk of the field.
It's to be expected with drivers still trying to find a hole. O'Brien Jr. hasn't been able to find one. Top 3 now looking to take off and run away as O'Brien finally finds some space.
Finding the opportunity to try and breathe around this track. That's one thing to raise as well. I think the most amount of time that these drivers are going to have between any of their competitors is probably going to be about a half a second at best. So talk about close quarter stuff. Holy cow! I'm pretty sure there's been lines in front of a Walmart on Black Friday with a half price deal on TVs where it's been a bit less packed in than this.
Yeah. Dyson, meanwhile, you see him battling Komacheski. Komacheski, one of the Team Watson Racing power planted machines. Right now, trying to keep things on the outside. The Journey self-entry moves up the spot. As see some of the other drivers. At this point, no surprise, Dodson is just giving everyone space. It's been a rough night for the 9 for a good reason.
Yeah, it's been an up and down race for him for sure, but trying to make sure this up stage will run between now and the checkered flag as he's still on the outside of the 44, heading off through 3 and 4 right now, maybe withstanding a challenge currently from the 76. One thing that you gotta keep in mind when it comes to an event like this, if you're one of these drivers, is having the ability to shake things off. You know, as chaotic as this race has been thus far, I think we're just past caution number 22, if my memory is serving me correctly. It's super important just to be able to dust all that stuff off and just have a reset at the end of it all.
DeCiani now inside. See some of the drivers at the back of the field sort themselves out. Way back there, some of those drivers losing a lot of time. 10 seconds to spread between 1st and 24th as time goes on. I was curious at the moment, but Fortis machines maybe trying to pick up the tempo. DeCiani makes the pass.
And you can see this hornet sets of race cars heading their way down into 1 and 2. Some smoke getting picked up in the air from these drivers snagging a wheel. One thing that's always a rather big change from how it usually was with the old Gen 6 and the NASCAR generation cars before then. You see a bit more lockups here at Martinsville. These drivers attacking the braking zones a lot more, going down some gears in the early stages as well, and they're finding yourself with a completely different driving experience compared to years and experience previously. Seeing some drivers snag some wheels, lock them up either in the front or the back. We've seen both cases of them. We've seen a lot of tire smoke get kicked up in the air as a result.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers got to make sure they don't cook the tires. The fall off for some drivers as high as half a second here. The run has gone on so far. And that's the big thing now. A lot of these drivers with this long run have to think about making sure they don't burn up that right front tire and plow off the racetrack.
Yeah, as much as that barrier is there, you don't want to knock it down in the process of just trying to turn into the corner at the same speed you entered it in a matter of about 15 laps prior. Tire management going to be important for these racers now that we are settling into a groove, and these track conditions being a bit less hospitable for the Goodyears on these race cars, now down to 97 degrees Fahrenheit being the track temperature. A lot more comfortable than it was in the early stages of this race, and I think these tires are certainly benefiting from it. These racers maybe starting to push their cars a little bit more, and these tires not screeching in agony as these drivers just try and go around the racetrack minding their own business.
Right now, Stone way up the track. Goes wondering Cam Stone, still battling top 5 Roman up there. Lucas Hoitzma doing what he did in stage 1, by the way, when he got the lead. Stretching it out. That car looks very consistent. He looks extremely comfortable in clean air compared to when he's been in traffic tonight.
Yeah, that is going to be a huge difference. As much as it is, obviously the dirty air a big factor. There's also the mind side of it as well. When you got a bunch of cars stacked up right in front of you, you're probably going to drive a little bit slow, just thinking, I feel like these knuckleheads may reckon the not too far off future, thinking as some of these drivers are probably thinking, and just deciding, you know what, I'm going to take it a little bit easy. Once you get out into that clean air, it's as much as feeling more grip as you're feeling more comfortable in deciding to push it a little bit more, and Hoitzma finding himself in that good window at the moment.
You know, right now you see some of the stint differences, by the way. See Roman, he's going to be an interesting one if he's going to be able to close up here, because 50 lap fresher tires at the moment is how his window looks right now. But right now the lap times aren't really showing that big of a difference in 50 laps on the tires. We'll see if that changes here for the next little bit.
Yeah, one thing to raise when it comes to the discussion about some drivers that are on slightly fresher tires, are they out there on a point in the racetrack where they can really utilize those fresh tires? If you find yourself in the midst of a can of sardines, as I've liked to say all throughout this broadcast, you're not going to be able to stretch out your legs at all. You're going to be cramped in. You're going to have to worry about what your competitors are doing more than you, and you're going to get stuck behind them. If you find yourself in a situation like Hoitzma is, where you're at the lead, you don't have a car to worry about right in front of you, and you could just really push it, then you're going to find yourself really benefiting from that tires, as that's a move done. As yellow coming out again.
Back under yellow. And I'm not sure where the yellow's out this time. I believe it's Sean O'Brien. Can confirm contact from Jeremy Miller. See it coming up here. This is a bit early. O'Brien was again the car that was stopped on track.
Trying to see if this is the moment in question. Looking good for now. Still looking good as the race leaders have come in. Hoitzma and Delaney, as that was the tap heading off through 3 and 4, acting as an involuntary choose cone, and thankfully did not get hit in the process, which I think is an absolute miracle.
Yeah, extremely lucky there. And that's going to see just about entire field coming to pit. Let's see what Derek Heitman's seeing. Just slow down. Quite simple.
That is about as cut and dry as it could get. Some slow cars as this field realizes this another yellow flag period, and we're hearing from our producer, Mr. Howie Burrows, in the production hauler, that there's a rather scrambly affair as these drivers were coming out of pit lanes. So even the pit exit proving to be a trouble spot for these racers.
Yeah. The field script again flipped again to Hoffman's direction. Dyson and Anderson are the only drivers to stay out here. And the field will have to pit at least one more time, I believe, if they want to be able to make it to the checkered flag here. This is going to be a big test, I think, for some of these tires here. Interesting enough, 2 tires, DeCiani, to get himself in front of Hoitzma here.
Yeah, so some strategy calls being made at this point of the race. These drivers making that call to pit. Andrew Dyson, last pit on lap 183. That is that's going to be a rather slow car at the front of this field come time for this restart in a couple of moments' time. They're back double file, so clearly these drivers getting their brownie points from the race admins, and the race admins rewarding them with some double file restarts.
Here we go. Let's try this restart. This is Dyson's camera viewpoint. Green flag is out. And we're back underway. See Dyson trying to keep an eye on what's going on behind him with the side-by-side as he holds on to second.
And hearing that there may have been a little bit of contact farther in the back, some drivers apologizing to each other on this restart. They complete the first lap full under green, but not the drama we've seen thus far, but still side-by-side racing throughout this field. Holy cow, these drivers not giving us a single opportunity to breathe and not giving their competitors a single opportunity to breathe as well. Treating us to some battles for the podium spots, and even treating us to some battles outside the top 20.
Stephen Williams in front of the leader is going to be interesting. We have our side-by-sides building up for third. The fresher tires are looking to make some passes. Here they come on the inside as the 41 gets ripped from the bottom.
And that is going to cause him to drop down like a rock. As soon as you get moved off that bottom lane, you're going to get screwed over on that high line. The marbles going to be rather substantial up there, considering we're coming up to 250 laps into this 400-lap long race. It's just basically going to be like a sea of gravel there, except it doesn't slow you down. It feels like it speeds you up as you take a one-way trip into the outside safer barrier. Thankfully, he's able to slip in, although he certainly lost a lot of time to be able to get back onto that inside.
Some of the air drivers making the outside work for now as Bobby Anderson's been drop kicked back. Is Hunter Trudeau now back into the 8th position. See the stint differences on screen. Hoffman, the only driver on the older tires to stay up front. Tire difference really comes in when you have a 50-60 lap difference like some of these drivers now have here for the race lead. DeCiani nearly hit the back bump of the 92. They're all stacking up right behind him.
Stacking up, heading off through 1 and 2. That pendulum effect, as soon as you see one driver slow down, it's just going to create a massive logjam of cars right behind. I forget what they usually say about the creation of traffic jams. As someone just spun, that's the one car heading off through 3 and 4. That was Dustin Hall.
Dustin Hall around in the corner. He had been battling for about 12th position. And we're back under yellow. Ralph Hutchinson made some contact. Let's take a look.
Yeah, you can see the one car on the outside line, hanging down the back straightaway. The 8 on the inside of him. 8 moved up a little bit, missed that inside by a teeny tiny bit, and drifts up into the side of the 1. 8 and 1 into turn number 3 and 4, clearly not going well.
Take a look again, yeah. Hutchinson was a little bit higher up as the Conti car gets sent sideways. He wants those back to pit road here. But the pressure was swarming and quickly on Hoffman. I think the pressure is still on for this 92, absolutely here for this restart, with how things are looking here.
Oh, it absolutely will be on Clayton Hoffman in that number 92 car. He's going to have a killer restart here. Otherwise, he's going to find himself in a pressure cooker situation without a question or shadow of a doubt. I wonder how he's going to tackle this restart. Is he going to take it a little bit carefully? Is he going to try and gun it? I mean, if he guns it and spins the tires or misses a shift, he's going to get chewed up and spat at by the competitors behind him. So it's a double-edged sword that Clayton Hoffman has to figure out the best way to hold on this restart.
Gotta be something to watch for, absolutely. All sorted here. Hoffman, 39 lap-o tires. Dyson, 72 laps on the rubber. Everybody else with 12. All that's being said, some of these drivers absolutely are holding out in case there's an air caution, because here's the thing, the drivers who pit 19th is where they have to restart.
As Carl Dodson picking up an end-of-line penalty. Not the first time we've seen that in this race. Certainly will not be the last. Thankfully, though, since we are back to double file, the end of the longest line penalty is not going to sting as badly as they once did. But here we go. That's a re-rack him and send him back green flag racing.
Green flag is out. Back to racing. No tire spin for the 92 this time as Gitter take away second from his teammate. Will get that spot just about. Delaney tries to take a spot from Hoytsma.
Still 2x2, 3x3. It's insane that we've got at the front of the field. A driver running a little bit wide, though. That's going to create some 3-wide action as a single file out for second with Patrick Ritter in that number 1 car, but the caution coming out. Oh my God, that's why.
Mesnard, Brickley, Zodiac full stop. Let's take a look at what happened again.
That was off into 1 and 2. I have a feeling that incident started well before then, though. We're going to get positive word as to whether or not that is the case as we take a look at this replay. I was just going to say Patrick Gitter in the number 21 car is a driver we definitely have to keep an eye out for in the rest of this race, as 3 wide down the back straightaway going to end in all of those cars and some company ending up in the barrier.
Car's absolutely decimated. But this will re-rack and stack the field. Still 141 laps to work with in this one. It leaves a lot of time for these drivers to contemplate and think about what the situation is going to be like here if they keep on having these incidents here.
Yeah, that's something we haven't raised in a while. Talking about the incident points that these drivers are going to have to probably have nightmares about for the next 3 weeks after this race. It's going to be something that rides on these drivers' minds for far longer than just the 400 laps that they're going to have to worry about here today. It's caught out some drivers already. It's certainly got to catch out more considering we have 140 laps left to go. We have gotten, I got to say, ever since we got out of stage 2, this race is starting to settle into a group. Granted, it has still been interrupted by plenty of cautions. I believe this is now caution number 24 or 25. Don't quote me on that. I believe it's somewhere in that ballpark, though. But the race has definitely gone into a bit more of a smoother groove than it was before. It's not hop skipping and everything like a malfunctioning record player like it once was.
Indeed here. So as we get ready to reset things again, it is Hoffman, it's Gitter, DeCiani, Hoytsma, Delaney, Roman, Truel, Stone, Dyson still holding on to the 8th. Hutchinson, Jeremy Miller is now in the 10th position. The first on fresh tires is now 15th, Bobby Anderson. In terms of those who pit the previous caution periods. Derek Heitman pit almost every single caution in this race. Interestingly enough. Just about ready for the restart again. 138 laps to go. All ready to work on this as the field comes to green. Back underway.
And a very good restart there from Hoffman. Got a little bit of a wiggle, though. That is for sure. Those tires are ancient on that number 92 car. Actually holding his own very well in that restart. I'm surprised.
Yeah, just like that, Delaney up to 3rd spot just about. Yes. Yes, indeed. He's up to 3rd spot. Bit of contact, though, as Gitter wanted to keep it side by side. Instead, it's Hoytsma alongside for 4th.
Still side by side, hang down the back straightaway off into 3 and 4. Hoytsman in that number 97 car. Gotta be trying to making his own, make up those spots. That 21 car in the 97, they're gonna be the heavy hitters in this race. I think those two will be the ones that we have to talk about in terms of being in contention for that race victory.
Yes. Mesnard is now officially off track and looks like he may be done for the race. We might be down to 25 running. things stand here for those curious. Oh, that's wow. DeCiani hunting for the race lead. What's it going to take to get alongside? It's going to be the question here. Hoffman seems to be good at parking the bus.
And parks it hang down into turn at number 1. I wonder if this strategy is going to work out for too long, or if we're going to start to see the elbows get broken out. Let's see, down the inside into 3 and 4, the 4 car, trying to get that move done to slip his way up into the race lead.
Side by side, DeCiani looking for the boost. Now is clear. Matt DeCiani to the point. Delaney moves up into second spot. There go the older tires, now dropping back. Oh, and Delaney gets loose. He loses spots as Hoytsman drives by 3 wide.
And you can see some smoke getting kicked up in the air. Hoytsman having a bad lockup all through turn number 1, and they stack up. The 92 spinning, 97 into the wall. That's a big hit for all 3 of those cars, and it's going to bring the yellow out again.
Oh, and they're slamming it big time. Komacheski hit in the heart of the track. Jeremy Miller just got a DQ. Oh my goodness, right at front of the pack and in the field.
And that is going to be caution number 26, I believe. And here's what happened. All kicked off with that lockup from Hoytsma. The 6 car on the inside made it 3 wide. The 97 bumping into the 92, and all of those racers getting taken out as a result of all that. And you can see more drivers stacking up and piling into that collision. That was, yet again, incredibly messy. This track, it's like a modern art painting with the amount of tire marks around it.
No, Mesnard came back into the race, but we ended up getting the DQ right back for Mesnard. Oh my goodness. That's all you can say if you're in the heart of that field. And that leaves with under 130 to go. No surprise. We see Hoffman amongst those in the pit lane here.
And here we go. You can see him trundling down in the pits. And always funny to see these cars hang down pit lane here at Martinsville. Can always see the bumps on the pits. That car bouncing up and down looked like there was a rabid motorized pogo stick on the bottom end of that race car as he was hanging through pit lane.
Might very well lose a lap if he's not careful here. Joey Brickley, Stoney Benfield, Carl Dodson amongst those who just came in as well. So yeah, it is starting to get where the attrition's building up pretty high. Stacked up pretty high, I should say. That's how things are looking at the moment. And a shout out to our MVP in this race. Thanks for our producer for the heads up. The pace car, your leader of the most laps tonight.
That pace car driver has been absolutely flawless ever since the drop of the green flag. They really have not put a foot wrong, and probably have the least amount of scraping out of any field. Oh, but they have come into the pits quite a lot, but even with that, they've still led a lot of this race. So, fantastic performance from the pace car driver.
All right, almost set to go. DeCiani, Delaney, front row. Ready to control things here with Getter and Vroman. Cam Stone, the top 5. Green flag is out. Back to racing. And the inside line, big time with a better launch.
Yeah, that was a huge launch for that inside on that restart. The 4 of DeCiani getting off to a flyer. Everyone, we talked about him really at all throughout this race, but he's got his way at the front of the field, and he's trying to lead as many laps as he can, as we are only 25 away from reaching the final 100 ever since the end of that second stage. This race has gone into a very nice groove. Oh, that could have brought another yellow out.
Cam Stone with the save in the 57. Able to keep it from the wall. Does drop him back. What a nice save from Cam Stone. Oh, that's well. It's a Fortis Team 1-2 with how things look now. They look to control the tempo with Delaney keeping the pressure high.
Yeah, keeping that pressure as high as you can possibly get it, cranking on that pressure cooker to the highest setting that you can get. These racers are starting to think about how well they're set up for the end of it, despite all the drama that's going on thus far. The drivers have to start worrying about that. 125 laps at Martinsville can go by in the relative blink of an eye. So these drivers starting to size up what stuff they may have to save up and what stuff they will have come time for that late race dash.
Now Tanner Marti amongst those that started way deep in the field, by the way. So amongst those lapped early, but has kept in it throughout the night. Up 24 spots in 14th position. Not bad from him.
Yeah, that is not bad at all. Tanner Marty's had a pretty up and down race, and last time we really paid attention to him in the number 29 machine was when he had that moment with Jason Taylor coming into the pits. So it actually brought us the first disqualification that we had in this race, and that feels like a completely different decade ago. As I think, I nearly just thought we saw another disqualification. No, but it was a brief UFO abduction from that driver coming out of the pits.
Absolutely. Taking a look at some of the most positions gained on screen, by the way. Some of those include Kevin Williams, that's also moved up, by the way. So is the Atkins plus 23 with Williams. So up front, top three all grouped together here. Somebody going to have to do something here if they want to take away this race lead with how things are pacing out. But each of them running the 19.6s. Roman last time by a tenth quicker.
Yeah, those small, low pace differentials can make a huge difference. I like to raise this point when it comes to all sorts of racing. Could be road course, could be oval, could be dirt road, could be dirt oval. Doesn't really matter. You don't want to make massive swings when it comes to that gap. When cutting your nails, you don't use a chainsaw. And I think these drivers proving that the slow and methodical approach can make a huge difference. I know methodical has not really been a word that we've used thus far in this race, but when it comes to some of the drivers at the front, they are taking a rather methodical approach to it.
Yeah, you can absolutely say that. Starting to get into a good pattern and a rhythm here. This top five. Take your 1 second up for the rest of the field. Take a look at some of the others in the pack, by the way. Hoffman after his slides, 18th spot. Hoytsma is in 17th after that spin situation. Right now, those drivers running as quick as the leaders.
Yeah, it shows you that in a race like this, doesn't really matter where you are in the field. You can see drivers well farther towards the back setting better pace than some of the drivers at the north end. It can make a big difference as we are right on board with the MVP of the day, the pace car there. So we go back to live action and follow Patrick Gitter in that number 21 car. He's a driver that we're definitely going to have to talk about come time for the end of this race. I've been keeping tabs on him for a while now. And after that moment for Lucas Hoytsman earlier on, we're really starting to feel good about the number 21 of Gitter. Knowing my luck, though, I probably just jinxed him. He's going to end up like striking the catch fence in a few moments.
Heitman, meanwhile, the Victory One Esports outside of the series backed entry has been everywhere tonight. I mean, everywhere. It's not been Derek's night. Essentially starting from the pit lane, and since then it's been a struggle to get spots time in and time out back.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to describe this race, Justin. A struggle. I think will be the best way to put it. These drivers are going to be happy to see the tail end of Martinsville once they're out of here. Those the final 111 laps that we have. For some of these racers, they are very much so looking forward to seeing that checkered flag pop up in the air. But for these racers at the front, they all want to make it to that checkered flag first. And honestly, looking at DiCiani, who, as a result of some pit stop chicanery and some yellow flag periods, has been able to shuffle up to the race lead. Patrick Gitter, who I said a matter of a couple of moments ago, going to be in contention. Jonathan Delaney deserves a shout in the number 6 car, along with Nicholas Vroman. Vroman in that number 95 machine despite the fact, with all the drama we've seen thus far in this race, he's always been there at the front. He hasn't been in the true race lead, but he's always been in the discussion for the drivers right towards right towards the front end of this field. So, got 4 very capable racers at the front.
Any one of those cars could very likely come away with the race win, depending on what happens here on pace. Just really comes down to who's going to be able to make a run to take the race lead. Still 107 laps to work with at the moment. And Gitter looks like he's tried it. Tried a small poke. Back in line.
And looking at these drivers still running in their train off through the corner now with now with some drivers going side by side a little bit farther in the back. This is the longest green flag run we have had in quite some time here in this race. It may feel a little bit alien for these racers. That's certainly a good treat for us in the commentary. We're seeing some of the nice paint scenes right here. This is one that's caught my attention all throughout tonight. That number 76 Red Bull car that we were just following a few moments ago. That's Derek Heitman, who's been involved in some incidents here and there. Was kind of the involuntary shoes cone hang down the back straightaway earlier on, but still finds himself in the top 10. In 10th. I mean, it's still inside the top 10, even if it's just barely the case, as looks like Nicholas Roman nearly tried to go for the dive on the 6 of Delaney.
Oh, he is trying the dive on the 6 of Delaney. Looking for third. Delaney able to keep it up there as for the lead. Gitter to the inside. DeCiani lets him go. Patrick Gitter to the lead.
And that's going to be a nicely executed move from the driver of the number 21 machine. That was well done. Heading off through there, looking at some other battles going on, just barely inside of the top 10. Looks like the front drivers are still running in their own train, but I don't think that's all going to be good news to DeCiani, as now looking down the inside is Jonathan Delaney into 3 and 4. That 4 car was in the race lead, but now that he's dropped back, I think he's going to drop down like a rock thrown into a pond.
Mind you, this entire top 5 on the same set of tires in terms of lap total here. 56 laps on the rubber. DeCiani, mind you, though, was on 2, as well as Gitter. The 4 tires for Delaney and Vroman are a big difference right now. And DeCiani is fading and fading fast. Vroman can't find a way by as Delaney tries to get up to Gitter.
And this is going to be a hard-fought fight between Gitter and Delaney. I mentioned a matter of, probably about 5 minutes ago at this point, talking about how those front 2, they were running P2 and P3 when I'd mentioned it. But Gitter and Delaney, they're going to be the drivers that I think we need to keep tabs on all throughout the rest of this race in the final 99 laps, the side-by-side between DeCiani and Vroman, heading on to that start-finish straight away off into 1 and 2 right now. The 95 holding his own on that inside line, trying to shuffle back the 4 car. But Gitter and Delaney, that's going to be a clash of titans at the north end of the field.
Vroman moves his way up to 3rd. Vroom, vroom. Very quiet all throughout the night. Now moves up a spot on the pass. Downside. Lost more than a second in that battle. It's going to take some time for him to get back up to the top 2 now. That's how much it took to be able to get around that machine. Top 2 about to reach traffic for the first time in a long while, in fact. Lap traffic about to play a factor here.
That the lap traffic discussion feels like it's been about 15 years since we brought it up. But yeah, that's going to be a rather big game changer. I wonder which one of these drivers is going to be able to cope with it the best. Are we going to see Gitter and that 21 machine be able to dispatch them and not lose out on time? Because, I mean, if he loses out on a couple of tenths of a second, that'll be Jonathan Delaney right alongside him. So he has no margin for error at all when it comes to some of these lap traffic encounters. Huge pressure cooker situation already for Gitter and Delaney. Throw traffic into the mix, it's going to be 10 times worse. Looking down at Benefield, who is holding on to the top 5.
See him Archer's trying to close up to all this too. Gitter is getting loose. He's hitting the wall. Here comes Delaney. Delaney sends it alongside. Gitter tries to hold on for the grip, but it's Delaney who makes the clean pass for the race lead.
That was a slick move from Delaney to jump up to the front of this field. Well done to him. And using that lap car as a little bit of a pick, this is going to be the game of leapfrog between these two all throughout the rest of this race. As long as lap traffic is in the picture, I think we're going to see one driver kind of position their competitors in a really bad spot when it comes to that lap traffic. Seeing a lot in road racing, seeing a lot in oval racing, or certainly got to see it put on full display here at Martinsville tonight. Delaney doing that to perfection to get that move done on Gitter, and he's going to look to try and chase away. Now bad 6/10 of a second nearly between those two race cars. Delaney grabbing that lead, grabbing that torch, running off into the sunset, and not looking back.
Derek Heitman, by the way, with all this, has clawed his way up to the 8th spot. Get around Dyson, who's 127 laps into his tire stint. Good charge ahead from Heitman, who's on some of the fresher tires in the field. Benefiel is just about quick, if not a little quicker than the leader. He's got fresher tires by 28 laps right now.
That's going to be a huge difference. It may not seem like a whole lot, but around a racetrack like this where it just chews up and spits these tires out, that's going to be a big difference at the end of this race. Makes us, it's going to be big in terms of the pace differential between those two cars, the confidence level between those two racers as well. It takes a whole different level of mental fortitude to be able to keep that race car in its position even though you're running on much older tires.
Indeed, right now. Benefiel makes an error pass. That's on Vroom Vroom. He is on the move. Benefiel is in the best position of pounds for this race lead. He spent 29 seconds in the pit lane with some damage repair last time he was in for service. And he is closing in a fair amount of time rapidly.
Yeah, that 83 car is a man on a mission right now. You can just see that 43 laps on these tires, and now that we're getting further into this green flag run, you're going to see that pace differential be huge. Let's see how this shakes out for Benefiel, trying to cut his way through the field, dealing with some traffic, and trying to chase down Patrick Gitter for second. He has a good shot to get it done. It's down about a half a second between P2 and P3, and after he gets that done, he's now going to have to reel in Jonathan Delaney for the race lead, and considering the pace that 83 car has found as of the past couple of moments, he has a really good shot to get it done.
Brilliant chance, in fact, with how things are looking right now. Oh, Benefiel stepped out. Nearly spun it off the corner. At the check up for the 21. So now they try and get around Billy Brickley. Delaney trying to run away as lap traffic starting to come in a little bit and loose tires for these cars. There's a look at the lap differential between the 83 and the 6. Mind you, Benefiel is now going for second, and it looks like no problem for Benefiel.
That's going to be a well-executed move from the driver of the 83 car to slip his way up into P2. As it's going to work out, though, with Delaney, he's actually been able to extend that gap a little bit now to about 1.1 seconds. So it will be a bit of a challenge from Benefiel to reel in the race leader, but considering the pace that he has been on as of recent, that may be big. I want to see how it's going to shake out next time by. Will it be... it's going to be a big swing from Delaney in terms of extending that lead. Is it going to be a big swing from Benefiel? This is actually looking rather good from Delaney in the number 6 car, despite that rather big advantage that Benefiel has in the tire department. That gap is staying about the same. It is plateaued between those two. That's, considering the situation and the context behind it, that's a win for Delaney.
Absolute win. See the difference now. Benefiel quicker the past 2 laps again. Must stop by, gain to 10. This could come down to around 60 to go at the rate things are going, maybe 70 to go, with it being bumper to bumper for this race lead if it stays green. And that's the one thing Benefield may need it to do. Indeed, stay green if he wants a chance for this race lead.
And you can see that gap starting to diminish between these two. We're seeing as these drivers continue to run around this track without any traffic in the view of Delaney currently. That's going to be a rather big gain on that lap. It was looking good. I think, honestly, you're seeing these two different drivers with two different race cars, and they seem to be good in two different halves of the racetrack. It looks like Delaney has the advantage over Benefield through 3 and 4, as Benefield has the advantage over Delaney all through 1 and 2. That gap still slowly but surely going down. It's not a massive swing that Benefield is taking out of it, though.
Yeah, just methodically closing the gap, just a little bit by bit. Taking his time to get up there as the tires start to equalize a little bit more again. Last time by, he lost 3/10. That's the wrong way as he missed the bottom in 3 and 4. That's going to be the tough thing. For him to apply the pressure, he needs to constantly gain, even if it's that bit by bit. But that's not a guarantee that you can do that every lap.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do when it comes to setting good lap times. You're eventually going to hit that wall. Not the one out there on the racetrack. You're going to hit the wall in terms of the tire performance. I think that's really been what's happened to Patrick Gitter as of recent. Finds himself in 4th, dropping down a little bit. It's tough. You know, you feel like you're in a groove, and then you have like one little mistake, then it feels like all of that tire wear that's really been there the whole time starts to hit you. It's a weird psychological thing that goes on in a racer's mind, but believe me, I've been there and done that. You feel like you're in a groove and have one mistake, and then it's like, oh my god, I'm running on some Fred Flintstone tires.
Yeah. These tires getting worn out with one of our longest runs. In fact, I believe this is our longest green flag run of this entire race. Mind you, Dyson, he is still holding on to a top 10 on 146 lap old rubber, running right now in the 20.4s, same as the leaders. That car is pretty soon going to have to come in for fuel, you'd have to think, if it does stay green.
Yeah, we are in the longest green flag run of this race by far, and I wouldn't necessarily rule it out that we could run all the way green to the end. I should not have said that. No, like it's probably going to age like milk in the Nevada sun, but it's still a very long green flag run, and these drivers, I mean, they will have to come into the pits between now and the end of this race. The tires just simply will not last that long. But whether or not those drivers have to come into the pits under green flag or yellow flag conditions, it can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. These two, by the way, on screen have already dropped back near 4 seconds. That's what's going on. The tough thing about this, too, with the field, normally you see a lot of lap traffic overlap. The leaders, interestingly enough, are only 2/10 quicker than the drivers at the back of the lead lap with how things are going at the moment. We might not see as much lap traffic as you think because everyone is staying evenly kiltered on this track.
Yeah, spread out evenly. You got that one little bit of butter and you're spreading it on that warm piece of bread. I feel like I shouldn't have said that. You can clearly tell that I did not have dinner here today, but still, nevertheless, oh, that's a big stack up heading through 3 and 4. Not going to bring the yellow out, though, I do not think, but a big stack up involving some lap cars. I wonder who got caught out badly and all that. I think it may have been Benefield. That gap is ballooned out.
Really starting to separate now as a result of that slide. Darrell's lap traffic has been in the heart of the field. Still looking at the replay. Let's take a look.
Yeah, it was heading off through 3 and 4, which has clearly been the trouble spot thus far in this race. Another stack up heading through there. And let's see how it all started off. Looks clean. I think that may have happened a little bit farther in the back of shop, but nevertheless, that was a big stack up. I am very surprised that didn't bring out another yellow.
Some people may have been screaming for that, pulling these tires right now with how things are shaping up. Right now, Delaney, Benefield, you see their times on screen, but it's Hoytsma trying to hold back Bobby Anderson. Hoytsma is on fresher rubber right now, though. That's the big difference, and that's why the 97 is starting to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, we're starting to see the drivers kind of have their own cars and have their own races fall back into their hands. We see many drivers have the fate taken out of their control in this race, considering the yellows, considering the carnage, considering some of the strategies, and also considering that a lot of these drivers are probably running rather high in terms of the incident points. So kind of getting back to the point of the race where these drivers have their fate in their own hands. They can decide how the rest of the race goes for, and because of that, we're starting to see some drivers who we haven't talked about in a little bit make their way back up towards the front. It may be a methodical approach, making your way up there slowly but surely, but hey, elite is elite. It doesn't matter how you get there.
Looking right now, Benefield's going to be able to do anything. The times aren't going fast enough. Last time by, he ended up losing another 10. The Hornet's Nest looks like this meanwhile. Trying to get around Kevin Zosiak, for example, in terms of that traffic. They also have Carl Dodson letting cars go in this grouping. All of them just trying to figure out a way. Can they find anything to leapfrog with under 60 to go?
That is the real question. Getting into crunch time for this race, despite the chaos that has gone on thus far, and despite the fact for some of these racers, this 400-lap race is probably felt like a 400-day-long race. We're getting to crunch time. Ooh, that's a big sideways snap of a driver who I think just decided that now was the time to call it into the pits. That did not look very voluntary, if I'm being completely honest, but nevertheless, we are getting to the point where these drivers are going to have to think about how to set themselves up as best as possible for the end.
Yeah, at this point, I'm very curious how long Dyson's going to go. That's going to be a true test for the rest of the field and the way things are shaping up. At this point, the big thing to think about is if you do have to do a pit stop here, well, the major thing, Ron, you can lose at least 2-3 laps if you pit under green voluntarily.
Yeah, that's a real good point to raise, JP. It's, again, I think I raised this early on talking about the pit stops. It's a double-edged sword because sometimes you, of course, have to come down pit lane. Otherwise, you're going to be in even more trouble. But at the same time, that kind of mental block of being like, yeah, I'm going to get sent multiple laps down, and if there's a yellow that comes out at the worst time in all of this, I am going to be screwed. So we nearly see 3-watt action off their turn at number 1. But yeah, the pit stops, as much as it is a game of strategy, it's also a mind game as well. Now, I keep harping on about this, talking about mind games, but at a track like this, where, let's face it, we've seen the red mist descend a lot in this race, you can see the red mist fall in these drivers' minds as well. It's super important to just remain in that good mind frame.
Stability. Now looking at Dustin Hall, by the way. Some of the errors as they zip forward here. So, here's an interesting thing. The sun is starting to set already near 6 o'clock in Sim. We originally started this race at near 3. Almost 3 hours of racing, Ron. We're on schedule, despite all the caution flags, to be a normal race distance for these types of races in FLCC.
Yeah, a little bit surprising. I think it has very much so been offset considering the lack of drama we've had in this second half. I mean, just comparing the halves of this race. I mean, obviously we still have we still have over an eighth of this race left to go, so there's a lot that can change between now and the checkered flag. But we're going from the first half where we saw, what was it, like 21 yellows, I think, before lap 200. You go from that to, I think, having about 6 or 7 since then. Still a lot in the past 150 laps, but nowhere near as much as it was in the first 150 laps of the race.
Yeah. Benefield, meanwhile, losing time with traffic. You just seen it right there. It's not looking good for his sake right now. And how big have these gaps gotten for some of the drivers? Well, DeCiani 10 seconds back is in the top 5. The leaders have found another gear with this methodical running away. Right now, DeCiani trying to hold back Cam Stone.
Yeah, those gaps ballooning out all throughout this field. It's probably the most spread out this field has been ever since the drop of the green flag. And I think for these racers who, or maybe like 1 or 2x away from getting disqualified, I think with the field being spread out is probably a welcome sight for some of these racers who have been hoping for the race to settle into a groove all tonight. Well, it certainly has. This is a very long green flag run that we're in the midst of, and considering how spread out it is, I feel like it's going to take some major calamities to get the field back vacuum sealed together.
Yeah, and right now this doesn't seem like a race trending to calamities at the moment. Heitman's driven his way to 7th, getting around Dyson recently, by the way. That's how things have gone. So, yeah, 172 laps is amazing for Dyson, by the way.
Yeah, that is... What are the tires on that car made out of is a real question. We may need to ask Dyson himself at the end of this. You know, I mentioned earlier on the story about Darlington and how the first ever running of the Southern 500 was won by a driver who was running on truck tires. Not even NASCAR truck tires, just like full-on heavy-duty truck tires for a road car. Is that what Andrew Dyson's running on at the present moment? This is absolute madness from him. Granted, it's probably... I can't even say his car's handling that bad. He's still holding his own in 8th. That is absolutely insane. 175 laps now on those tires. Absolute insanity.
Oh, he's coming to pit. Dyson is in. He can't go any longer. The limit, but 176. And that's going to make it interesting bit for some of these drivers who are still going, where they're going to be in similar boats to have to make it 160-something laps if they want to make it to the end, if it does stay green here for your race leaders.
Yeah, Andrew Dyson, credit where credit's due to him coming in for that pit cycle. As it's going to shake out for all of these racers. That may kick off the trend. Only taking right side tires is Andrew Dyson. So I'm not sure if this man is clinically insane or what, but clearly that 41 car able to run on the most beat up of tires in the world. That's the sort of thing that you see on like Instagram. See a car mechanic post on their Instagram story, just a car with completely bald tires coming in with the customer complaining that couldn't handle too well in the rain. Like, gee, I wonder why. What? I can't even believe. I mean, the tires on that race car, some of them well over 100 laps old. And oh boy, that may bring out a yellow. That's a 29 car spun. The 1 car of Dustin Hall, he just got yoinked into the shadow realm. He just picked up a DQ. So Tanner Marty not getting the disqualification, but the 1 car clearly getting it.
That's definitely not going to make the 1 machine happy, to say the very least. They have been running decently in the 12th spot. Tanner Marty, once again, making a bit of contact coming up the corner. A little bit low, though, for Hall. That bounced him to the wall. Then there were 25. left to go in the race.
Only 25 racers left out here on the track. It has been a race of attrition from start to finish. About 25 laps left and 25 drivers left with about 35 laps left in this race. Bobby Anderson, I feel like we haven't talked about the driver of the number 5 car really at all tonight. Finds himself in 9th and really, gotta say, honestly, JP, at the end of this race, just making it to the checkered flag is going to be an achievement in and of itself.
This has been, as usual, a marathon to get through. Dodson very lucky to still be running after all those slides, all bits of contact. You have to think he's on the cusp of a DQ as well. If he bounces off another car or spins it out again.
Yeah, I think these drivers, I can't even say the saying walking on eggshells is appropriate. It's like these drivers are walking around an active minefield trying to avoid any sort of incident points at all costs. A small little tap, even like hitting a cone or just hitting the inside curb a little bit badly, bang, you're gone. You get disqualified. So it is such a delicate game that these drivers are having to play at the present moment.
Looking around here at this point, but I wonder what the mental fatigue is like to race like this for some of these drivers with the ups and downs. What would your mind be like if you've turned all these laps and like these drivers, you've been all over the field depending on your pit strategy?
I would say if I'm a driver who's been just going up and down the field and in and out of pit lane like a mosquito with short-term memory loss, I'm going to find myself being a little bit worn out by the end of all of this. Staying in the right frame of mind, obviously super important, and for some of these drivers who've had a rather tumultuous race, that can get at you really badly. It's like the seesawing can eventually just make you go insane. It's like staying on a boat for an extended period of time. You go back onto the water, you go back onto land, you get off the water, and then even hours after the fact, or just like riding a roller coaster, it kind of happens the same case as well. You ride on roller coasters for too much during the day. You get home and you swear there's still something in you that's still on that roller coaster moving around. You get to a point in a race like this where you've been up and down the field so long, you're kind of bracing for the other shoe to drop in a way. You're like, things are going too well at the moment. Something's going to happen. That falling anvil is going to come crashing down from a helicopter in front of me soon.
Yeah, right now. A lot of these drivers just wanting to see the end of this one. Under 30 laps to work with on the race. Sean O'Brien trying to close back up to Ralph Hutchinson for a top 10. O'Brien, talked about him earlier on in the night. One of the drivers needing points early on in the season, in the battle for the cutoff in the postseason right now, was amongst those 18th in the standings coming into tonight.
Yeah, there's got to be a big points day for a lot of the drivers who found themselves just being patient ones. You know, you don't need to have the pace to get a good result at the end of this. Let's say you're the slowest car all throughout tonight and you avoid incident points, you avoid the crashes like the plague. You're going to find yourself walking away from this race with a solid finish inside of the top 30. I mean, we only have 25 cars left out there on the racetrack, so you're guaranteed with a good result regardless. So it's a day where you're going to see some underdogs score some very good points and shuffle up the points quite a lot. It reminds me, in an odd way, of the 2005 United States Grand Prix. If anyone ever heard, I think it was a minority team principal, Paul Stoddard, in his interview during a Dutch TV broadcast of that race, pretty much saying that that race was going to completely change up the way the points battle went between Minardi and Jordan during that season. A race like this, high of attrition with some drivers a little bit farther in the back who are probably looking to just barely scrape their way into the top 35, find themselves in a top 15 spot. That can make a huge difference in the points. That can also make a huge difference in morale as well. So as much as it's a bad day for some drivers, it could be a fantastic day for others.
Right now, Delaney on his way to a second win on the season. 22 laps to go if it stays green here. He is 136 laps into a stint. No signs of a pit stop, obviously. Hoping that there is no strategy that needs to come in for fuel under green. It's going to be curious for him, of course. Benefiel has dropped near 3 seconds back as this run has gone on. 21 laps to go. More heavy traffic coming up. 13th spots up the road.
And continuing to have to worry about that traffic. It's going to flare up in a big way between now and the end of this race. And I wonder how the drivers at the front of the field are really going to tackle this. For Jonathan Delaney in the 6th machine, what would the strategy be in terms of dealing with that traffic? You find yourself with a 2.7 second gap, so you don't really have to risk it too much. But again, as much as you have that cushion, you don't want to have to use it. It's like having a spare parachute whenever you go skydiving. As much as it's good to have it there, you don't want to have to use it all the time. So a 2.8 second gap is good for Delaney. But when it comes to that lap traffic dilemma, you don't want to see that gap just vanish within the blink of an eye.
Tanner Marti trying to make up some spots in front of the leader. It's Komacheski now to the outside. Komacheski, very quiet in this race, has been running in place much of the night of the 88. Just looking to bring it home clean. As they come around to 17 to go. Marti just about has the spot secured up here in this fight. 15 DNFs tonight. 15 as the night's progressed. One of the highest totals you'll see for a season with how things have gone on. Oh, we had a slide. Mesnard having some issues in front of some cars, letting people go.
And we're starting to see these drivers just try and make it to the end of this race at this point. 16 laps left on the board. One thing that may be a real kick in the shins for some of these competitors would be a late race yellow, which I can't necessarily rule out, if I'm being brutally honest. We've seen so many up to this point, and these drivers are starting to play it a bit more fast and loose as this checkered flag nears.
Right now, Anderson trying to find a way around Hoytsma. This is for 8. Just couldn't get the outside to grip up. It's not been there all night here. Anderson just cannot find a way to poke and prod, as O'Brien has not been able to find a way around Hutchinson in this trending in place. The leader is just about on the bumper.
Here we go. It's Jonathan Delaney hitting this traffic with a 3.2 second lead over Adam Benefiel. So still a big cushion, but again, doesn't want to use up that cushion too badly. Otherwise, he's going to be rather more tense than he probably had in mind. But that 6 car in the catbird seat as it stands at the present moment. Patrick Gitter, who I had outlined as a hard charger in this race and someone we had to keep our eyes on, he's back down in 4th. So we'd have to hope for some lightning to strike in his bottle to find himself occupying the race lead at any point between now and the checkered flag. But Delaney, he just has to deal with the traffic as best as possible, not get caught up in anyone's stuff, and also keep his fingers crossed that we won't see a late race yellow. And Delaney, if that isn't the case, we can finally see this race be brought to a close and a driver back that car into victory lane instead of earlier on where we saw some drivers backing their cars into walls.
10 laps to go as Marti takes up another spot just about for 11th. Ryan up the track. Delaney at this point just letting them battle. I wonder if Delaney is just pacing himself to see what happens here or trying to save a little bit on the gas. We'll have to find out later on here. Not really pushing the issue on these lappers.
Yeah, couldn't necessarily blame him for not having to push that. I mean, granted, that gap has gone down a little bit. let's say it goes down by 0.2 of a second every single lap between now and the checkered flag. Cool. That is 0.2 of a second that Adam Beneful is going to gain. So that'll be 1.8 seconds taken away from a 3.3 second gap. So Delaney, he can afford to take it easy at the present moment. Plus he's got a manual barrier. I mean, he's got cars between himself and Beneful. So it's not just 3.2 seconds straight. Beneful's having to deal with some lap traffic as well. So this is just looking very good for Delaney now with 7 to go.
Everything's going with Heitman. Meanwhile, well, he's reeled in DeCiani. Trouble! Caution! And DeCiani gets away from that one. Heitman slides, and this will come down to a couple lap shootout.
And that may have been potentially the worst nightmare, the worst case scenario that you could have seen there for Jonathan Delaney. As we take a look and see that moment for the 76. They've had a hectic race up to this point, and the hecticness continues. And thank you very much, Howie. That's what I get. I tried to cover my bases. I didn't want to say that we would be staying green. But one green car coming in the pits. That's the 6 of Delaney coming in for tires.
Has to with how long they drove on this rubber. It's not a surprise, as it's a question of what happens from here on out to decide this race win. I don't think anybody's going to dare staying out here. There's no way on the old rubber. They would be sitting ducks.
Yeah, I think someone's going to still risk it for the biscuit or risk it for the Triscuit if they're feeling the low-calorie option. Someone's going to go for it. I have a feeling. If you give these drivers a slight, faint promise of making up some spots track position-wise, they're certainly going to take it. As we just saw, not sure who that was that we just saw overtake Jonathan Delaney on pit lane. That was the 57 Cameron Stone, who had to come into his pit stall at the front end of pit lane. So Delaney, I believe in all of that, is going to exit out in second, as that was very briefly as the number 88 car has come back into the pits.
No surprise, into the pit lane, had to come down. It's going to be punted out of the way, possibly, if he stayed out. So this is going to get interesting, to say the very least. Now, of note, Vrillman came out second in the lane. That's because he took 2 tires here. Is that going to work with that big of a tire split?
Ooh, that is a good question that you raised there, JP. It all depends on how this restart goes. If we end up getting into some green-white checkered scenarios, some artificial green-white checkered scenarios, shall we say, because I think we will have a natural green-white checkered. Thank you, Howie, for the information. 3 green-white checkered attempts for these racers. We may find ourselves seeing those tires play a bit more of a role as another delayed restart. That's going to... let's see, with 3 to go, will that mean that we're going to send immediately into a green-white checkered, or are we just going to take the restart with a white flag?
This will send us to green-white checkered territory officially in Sim. It's not going to be a natural GWC. It's going to come down to one of our GWC attempts here. Driver's now getting that confirmed.
And Rose, we were talking about those 3 green-white checkered attempts. That's already 1 struck off. And I got to say, for some of these drivers with the difficulty in tire strategy, that may end up helping their cause out a little bit. That's 1 more batch of laps that's taken out of it, but the lights are out in the pace car. This may be the last time that we have a restart in this race. It may be the 3rd to last. Let's just wait and see.
Jonathan Delaney's led 138 laps tonight. That's the most out of anybody. Can he close it out in this one here at the paperclip? Green flag is out. 2 laps to go. Vrillman couldn't get to the bumper, couldn't get down. Benefiel going for second. Does just about take the spot. So drivers way up the racetrack at the back of the field as Vroom gets turned. No caution yet. We stay green. And now they wreck big time. Benefiel has taken the white. They are crashing at the line. And 4 disqualifications here. And I don't
Delaney is
think
one.
we did not get the caution. Benefiel wins the race.
What a bizarre end to it. Adam Benefiel is going to win it. That was a lot of cars involved in all of that, but I think probably the biggest disqualification at the end of it. And the biggest kick in the shins, if ever you've seen, was to Jonathan Delaney. He was on track for the win. There's no question about it. But in all of it, he's going to get the DQ instead. He could have ended up with race winner's points. Instead, he's going to end up with nothing. What a heartbreaker.
No caution with a good amount of the field spinning there, Ron. That's going to surprise some people. There's a lot to break down here.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at this restart of this chaos as we got this race back underway. I can hear some discussions going on in the iRacing chat. Some of these drivers are not very happy, and understandably so. That was just ugly, an ugly end to an ugly race from start to finish, and it... Oh boy, let's see. Heading down through 3 and 4, the smoke already going up in the air. It was an initial crash, and then more drivers piling in, and it just snowballed out of control from there.
I'm surprised we didn't get the yellow with Vroom Vroom getting turned around, though. That's the big thing. I am not sure how that was not a caution. Yeah. This should have been the trigger, and it wasn't. Delaney went around on top of it, gets the DQ, and they all crashed. But at this point, the leader's taking the white.
I genuinely... You know, it's taken me about 2.5 years to get to this point. I am at a loss for words, JP. I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not really sure what to say to a finish like that. It's chaos. It's a fitting end for a race that saw. I think in the end it was over 30 cautions. But man, that's gonna leave a bad taste in some people's mouths. I still feel bad for the 6, and all of that. Benefiel is going to be the winner, but look at that. Holy cow. I think it was about 4 or 5 drivers got the disqualification in that collision. I mean, it's going to sound bad, but that, I think, just about sums up how this race went.
A quarter of the race was finished under yellow as Cam Stone going backwards. That was a part of, I think, a DQ situation, possibly, with him rolling back like that. Wow is all you can really say, with a good portion of the field crashing there. Tempers are overflowing in virtual pit lane. We can tell you that as well. And the only thing you can say is the white flag may have been in the air at that point, but Benefiel was the one who was able to get the burnout celebration here for Team Conti, and another different winner this season. That is going to be 7 winners in 7 races wrong.
What a chaotic start to this season. Topsy-turvy. Many different drivers finding their way into victory lane. It'll be a matter of time, though, before we get a driver to rise to the top and prove themselves to be the force to be reckoned with. Lady in Black for the next round of the championship. That's going to be fun next Saturday. But here at Martinsville, burning it down is Benefiel. That 83 car backs it into victory lane at the end of all that. I'm curious what his incident point count at the end of all of it was, because I can guarantee you it was... He went 4x according to our producer. Wow, that honestly, as much as the win's impressive, 4x and all that chaos, that's even more impressive, honestly.
Less than half the field, by the way, actually finished the race. That's going to be a big discussion in the hauler after tonight. Why don't we take a step aside if we can for a moment? Come back and look at the race results. We'll talk with some drivers and debrief, should say. You're watching Maconi Entertainment for coverage of the full-length Cup Challenge for the paperclip.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
There is a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is partnered with more real-world tracks and companies, including Junior Motorsports, than any other group on the iRacing service.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest.
Welcome back to Martinsville, where tempers overflowed. Somewhere around near 30 caution flags here at the Paperclip tonight. At the end, Adam Benefield survived to be able to come away with the race win for Team Conti. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results. Lucas Hoitzma took away second spot in the chaos. Matt DiCiani in third. O'Brien Jr. and Truel in the top 5. Williams, Dyson, Vroom, Hoffman, Anderson amongst the top 10. 14 seconds to spread. Up at spot with the Cam Stone, Kevin Zosiak in 12th, Carl Dodson in 13th. Daniel Llewellyn got 14th. Delaney with his DQ, 15th spot. Patrick Gitter, 16th. Ralph Hutchinson in 17th. Heitman, 18th. Marty Komacheski, the top 20.
And looking through the drivers in the back half of the field at the end of this race, a lot of them ran into some difficulties. Billy Brickley in the 44 machine in 21st. Evan Menard in the 73 car in 22nd. Stoney Benfield in 23rd. Devin Medeiros in 24th. Nolan Hodgson in 25th at the end of that race. Dustin Hall also got the DQ in 26th. Jeremy Miller in 27th. Noah Hamilton in 28th. Jim Shoefield in 29th. Matthew Boston Wheeler in 30th. 205 laps down at the end of this race. A lot of these drivers ran into some difficulties early. William Owens in 31st, Jacob Simpson in 32nd, Robert Miller in 33rd, Christopher Pfeiffer in 34th, Gregory Robinson in 35th, Paul Hill in 36th, Jason S. Taylor in 37th, Jordan Pearson, Neil Pearson, Tyler Hunter running out your top 40 and all the cars classified at the end of this race. JP, a race that saw just about everything that he could ever see in a Martinsville race.
That was eventful, to say the least. Adam Benefield survives to take the checker flag. Adam, first things first, you add yourself to the different wins list here today. 7 different winners in 7 races. How does it feel to be a winner in the FLCC?
It feels great. I mean, we won the Xfinity Series last night, and then I'm still trying to process what really happened there. I liked where I was sitting. Roman taking 2 kind of put me down on the bottom and for that last restart. And I don't even know. Like I think me and Roman were still he was still up beside me, and I really don't know what happened to John. I have no idea what he I guess he locked up and then got sideways. I don't really know, but I come out of 4 and I look in the mirror and there's no one there. Like I was shocked. Dustin told me that there was over a 3-second gap, and but yeah, it was wild. It was a long race. It's a very long race. We had almost 4.5 minutes of damage, got it down to close to 3, and Yeah, we just rode it out after that. That's why on the long run I kind of fell off. The left front was not happy on that long run. It kept wanting to pull the car to the left real hard on exit, and so I was happy for my P2. Finally, the season hadn't started out good at all. We had speed at Daytona, and then just the terrible luck last week at Homestead. I felt like we had a really good piece, and internet goes out while we're gridding. So I was really just looking for a top 5 day, and we got lucky. That, but hell, we'll take it.
Let me ask you this as well. You mentioned some of the damage impacting you as well, but how tricky was it to keep in the mindset in the car? Because tonight, over a quarter of the race was spent under caution, but how difficult was it to be able to plot and plan in a race like this with how difficult it was to pass when we did get the green flag runs?
I mean, it in my opinion, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, I think I had a 4X, and that was because of what happened to me and Robert. Like, we know we race with all these guys, we race with one another a lot. Like, I know Delaney's tendencies, Gitters and Broman's. Like, I know what they do. I know how they race, and you can play it smart and just kind of keep your nose clean, which is what I did for a lot of the race. Like, I knew that the race was going to be won in the last 100. It didn't really matter what you did in the first 300 of the race. So I tried to give everybody space and try to help people out by getting them in and everything. And I think people just driving over their heads, honestly, and not thinking about the long run or the end of the race. And I knew that coming into it, and that was kind of my game plan. I had a feeling that Vroman was going to be between Vroman and really I felt like there was about 5 or 6 guys that were going to be really stout, but Vroman and them been stout all week in NIS, so I knew they were going to be good. And then Delaney's Delaney. You can't count him out for nothing unless he steps on it himself. So but yeah. I'm sorry. I was watching a replay and I see him spin. That's what made me laugh.
Well, on a more positive note, after tonight, on top of the win, of course, Darlington's next week. What do you have planned in store for Throwback Week?
I think we're going to do the Dirty Mo posse throwback. That's kind of my thing that I do, and that's one of my favorite throwback schemes to run. So it's what I got, really. My painter retired, so I kind of got what I got. So I think we're gonna do the Dirty Mo posse throwback.
Any show that you like to give here tonight?
Everybody at Team Conti. Like I said last night, we won the Xfinity race. Tonight we got lucky with this and won it. So obviously they're putting out good stuff. I mean, hell, we won the race with 3.5 minutes of damage. I know it's Martinsville, but that's still pretty impressive if you ask me. But everybody over there, Cam, I hate to see that. This is a track he had circled of doing really good, and he had pace, man. He never could get back on the same pitch strategy and all that, and then he got wrecked at the end, so I hate that. But Dustin, he had a rough night, but appreciate those guys showing up every week, and Bobby for the league. This bunch of awesome drivers. I'm glad it's back, and y'all for broadcasting. Y'all do a hell of a job. I watch every single one of them. I got it down in my corner of my screen so I can listen to y'all commentate, and y'all do a hell of a job. So appreciate y'all.
Thank you very much for your time, Adam. Congratulations on the race win tonight.
Thank you.
Adam Benefield coming away with the race win this evening. Lucas Hoitzma comes away second. He's with Ron.
Well, hello, Lucas. Welcome into the commentary booth. That looked like a wild race from your perspective in the 97. Started off in a rather hectic fashion, got involved in an incident a little bit in the midpoint, and then make your way up the running order towards the end. So, how about you talk us through that roller coaster of a ride here at the Paperclip?
Yeah, just not usually how I want to conduct myself tonight. Lap 2, I was already getting into Cam Stone's bumper and moved him out of the way. Complete accident, but I just wasn't on top of myself tonight. That got me in the lead for a while, so that felt good, even though I got it, a little controversially. But then we got the mid portion of the race. I took tires, got stuck in the middle, got in some incidents, got back up there again, and then when Delaney got loose in front of me, I tried to send it into the corner, locked it up, washed up the track into Clayton, and then John got underneath me, and then, oh man, just overall, just tonight I couldn't keep my car straight, do what I wanted. I mean, the car was great. We had a rocket ship this week, and I just couldn't do it. Got the thing in between the seat and the steering wheel was the problem this time around, but just complete luck. I got second. Unfortunate events for everybody else, and I somehow come away with my best finish of the season. Definitely didn't draw it up like that.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about your perspective on the final lap of that race, just seeing that absolute carnage for you. From your perspective, behind the wheel of your race car, was that like the seas parting for you, or was that more so like being the first to arrive at the scene of an accident, just seeing cars and body parts, both of the drivers and the cars, just scattered all around the racetrack?
Yeah, going in middle 3 and 4, I could see a car was facing me, and I knew that wasn't good. So just decided to drive down onto the apron portion of the track, hope I got through it. I got past the first part when I think Vroman spun, and then Delaney came down in front of me, just smacked into his door panel, kept the car straight, kept going, and then got bounced off the 57 on the inside wall, still kept it going. The wheels, none of them were pointing the same direction, but nobody else was behind me, so I just had to drive it home.
Yeah, I mean, credit where credit's due. The fact you were able to wheel that car across the line. Granted, probably the fabricator for your team not going to be too happy about it all. And incidentally, we're just taking a look at the replay, seeing the 6 car completely disappear in front of you as he got disqualified right at the end of that race was, obviously unfortunate for the 6, as it looked like he was on track for a victory before that yellow came out. But still, just absolute insanity in this race. So probably hoping for yourself and the entirety of this field, that the next race at Darlington is a bit more team. So what are your thoughts heading into it?
Yeah, I always love Darlington. It's probably one of my favorite tracks, if not my favorite. So really looking forward to going to the Lady in Black next week. Just want to thank all my guys at 712 Brakes, Quinn there, helping me out every week. And obviously everybody at RH Motorsports, Ralph, John, Jason, Sean, everybody in the team. We put in a lot of work, especially this week. It felt good for it to pay off, and just can't thank those guys enough. It's been really fun with them so far this season.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you wanted to give any thanks or shouts out, but the true professional you are, you're able to get them out before I even got the chance to ask you. So, Lucas, we'll let you go and beat some of the dents out of that number 97 car. Well done on the P2 finish run here at Martinsville, and excited to see you back out on the track for the rest of the season, man. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Lucas Weitzman coming away in second spot in this one tonight. Matt DiCiani rounds out the top 3. Matt DiCiani led 61 laps in this one. Matt, what would you describe in terms of how this race went for you? You were able to survive for a top 3 here.
Yeah. Long, chaotic. It was overall a decent day. I felt like I had a top 5 car most of the race. If you could have told me we were going to go 150 plus laps there at the end, I wouldn't have taken 2 tires on that pit stop. Kind of felt like I was hurting after 30-40 laps because of the tires, but held on, and we had that chaos there at the end, and somehow I came through there and got away with the 3rd here.
Overall, you also were amongst those who were taking a lot of 2-tire calls. What was that strategy like on the tires? Some people said they used as little as 3 sets tonight here at the Paperclip.
I think I used 4 or 5 maybe. I had damage. I got damage early in the race, and there was a couple. I just took tires on one of the runs just to fix damage and stuff. So I used an extra set there. But yeah, I mean, the tires don't wear crazy here, like as far as percentage goes. But the heat buildup is just you lose lap time. But yeah, guys that didn't take the extra sets, we had them. I'm not sure why they didn't, but that's their race. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it worked out. I mean, with all the yellows, it probably didn't even matter there for the first half of the race.
How do you feel about Darlington?
Yeah, Darlington's a fun racetrack. If we could actually get some green runs, I feel like we'll be pretty strong there. It's a unique track. It's hard to pass, so we just got to qualify well and just execute the whole race.
Any shows you'd like to give here tonight?
Yeah, thanks for you guys for calling this race. I know it was probably long and got a little boring at times there early in the race. Shout out to my teammates and Bobby for putting on this league and Fortis Motorsports.
Congratulations on the run.
Thanks, guys.
Matt DeCiani, rounding out our top 3 here tonight. I'd like to thank the entire top 3 for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on Maconi Entertainment. So, Ron, that should just about close things out tonight. Your final thoughts on the paperclip?
Wowzers, wowzers, wowzers. I don't think there's any other way that I can describe it. What was it? I think 15 cars grabbing the checkered flag at the end of this race. Martinsville, as much as it's usually Bowman Gray that holds the moniker of the Madhouse, I feel like Martinsville really stole it here today. These drivers were going insane ever since the drop of the green flag through to the checkered. It was a long ride. It was a fun ride. It was a hectic ride for sure. I'm glad that we're not stuck with a repair bill, and I'm really looking forward to the next race of the season at Darlington.
It'll be a throwback week. Be sure to tune in. Once again, that race date will be on April the 5th. Coverage starts approximately 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Catch that here on Maconi Entertainment. But that means it's time to say goodbye. Calling the action tonight was myself, Justin Prince, alongside Ron Mons. Our producer is Howie Burrows. Thanks to our viewers for watching tonight's racing action. Hope you stay tuned to our social media pages for our next race. Thanks to the entire staff for their work in bringing this racing to you. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment. We'll see you next time.